Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados live right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. We've actually had a pretty damn big week in geek culture. We've had comic book shops speaking out against the big two. We've had big firings in the MCU. We've had cancellations of characters everyone wanted to see canceled. And here was talking to me about that. Is a fantastic panel of experts. But before we get there, I do want to mention Josh is not here today because he has had, I believe, a close family friend passed away. He's at a funeral. So if you have some thoughts and prayers, please send those out to Josh and his family as they're taking care of that this week. And then also keep Larry from Larry's Comics in your thoughts and prayers. He also had a loss this week. If you could send him something nice on the social medias, whether it be the Twitter sphere or maybe Instagram or something like that, I'm sure you would appreciate that as he's having a rough week as well. And we got some fun stuff to talk about. And here we have returning to the channel, Theresa Jester Bell. How you doing, Theresa?
I'm pretty good. I just got up, so I'm just a little tired. And I went onto my Twitter and I saw new set photos from the Joker sequel. And that's a movie I've been covering on my channel. And so I'm like, oh no, now I have to get up and I have to be on the live stream. And I have to take care of the new set photos. I have to do all this stuff. So other than that, I'm pretty good. I'm working on another production. So yeah.
What did you think about the photos of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn? That's the big thing, right?
I'm mixed because I like that they're going back to the original red and black Harley Quinn color scheme finally, which they have been doing, but you know, get away from that pink and blue stuff. And also apparently she's at a Free Joker protest, so they're saying it looks like, you know, at the end of the first movie the Joker got a lot of followers, so she might be like one of his big followers in this. So I like all that. I'm just a little bit, I want to know what the performance is. I want to know what more of the context is. So I want to see more.
I thought she looked pretty good. Certainly a promising start for that. You got anything on the channel that people need to be checking out or be aware of maybe that's coming up?
Well, apart from my next short film, which I don't know when it's going to be coming out because one of the actors has been delayed. But I'm doing a live stream tomorrow with my friend Jacob, and we're going to talk about how the golden age of superhero movies is done, which I think I can say now. But maybe we'll talk a little bit about that on this channel. But we're going to discuss that tomorrow night at 6 Pacific time.
Absolutely. Be tuned in there. We've also got, from the Far East as well. I'm in the Philippines. Gray's in Japan. How you doing, Gray?
I'm doing great, Wes. I'm delighted to be here. Thanks so much for bringing me on. I'm excited, Wes. I actually got some physical copies of comics. Can you believe it? Just a few.
Can't believe it. Gray, you don't sound Japanese, sir. Are you breaking the mold?
I'm Japanese via Manchester, Mancunian actually. You can probably tell by my accent. But yeah, so happy to be here. So happy to have some physical copies in my hand. It's so hard to get in Japan. Where's done about you? I've got a order from Tokyo.
Yeah, you got to order everything by mail here if you want to actually get a comic book to touch.
Same.
Unless it's manga. You usually get those somewhere. So what's been going on in your channel? You got anything exciting?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Mark Miller's Magic Order. Volume 4, Issue 3 dropped. Beautiful art by, I think it's pronounced, is it Deke Ruan or Dike Ruan? He's cool. He's got a real fantasy style. Also did Superman Issue 2 and what was the other one? Amazing Spider-Man 22, just for the doc.
You didn't do Batman, Superman, or Flash?
No, I haven't had time.
You've probably done those enough already, so...
Yeah.
Definitely check out their channels. There is a link in the video description if you're ever wondering where you can find these people. We've also got Yul Carter from Fantastic Comics in Berkeley, California, the local comic book retailer. How you doing, Yul?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me on.
Man, you got a SpiderMan hat. I guess baseball season just hasn't quite got there yet.
No, we have about a week to go. The end of March, I think they're going to be starting up like the 30th. I'm pretty excited, but kind of... You know, rule changes can screw things up, but overall, that's pretty cool.
We've got Skip in the house. Have you seen him at the shop lately? He used to come up and visit you from time to time.
He visits. I think he is like closer to Sacramento, so it's not like he can just drop over any time. I wasn't sure if he was going to be on the show or not, so I had my Laker hat just in case because we're moving up.
Yeah, he's always talking about the beam or whatever.
Yeah, I'll be happy
China
when
beam.
the Kings get bounced out of the first round like they should.
By the Mavericks or something.
Yeah, but buy comics, everybody, at your local store.
We're going to have some stuff to talk about with comic book retailers first up on the docket today. That'll be fun. We've also got replacing, I guess, Josh this week is Jip from Weird Science. How you doing, Jip?
Hello. That's a sad thing to replace, and shout out to Josh. So, hey, here I am. I feel like crap. I think you got me sick.
No.
I don't know if that can
this
be.
Earlier, you almost die every week, and
that is true.
Off at the mouth to your wife, and she probably poisoned you or something.
She almost killed me before we started. I started talking a little too much smack, so I feel great. Is how I have to keep yelling that so she hears that. But yeah, here we are. Well, we have a lot of crazy stuff to talk about.
Yeah, Jimmy, you better keep that lip in check. Get out of line, you can be put back in line. You know what I mean?
I need I wish I was rich, and then I could have a royal food taster. I could then test it out. I could then get on a rickshaw, go around town. It'd be pretty cool.
Very nice. Do you like Aaron Sparrow? He wants you to acknowledge him, Jim.
You're acknowledged, Aaron. There you go.
I will. Aaron Sparrow. Very nice. And last but not least, Doc and I have a video for you guys tomorrow about Marvel screwing people over and basically being liars. And he goes off the hook on that when he loses money. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. I vented a lot of my frustration already when we recorded earlier, so that'll be fun. I'm wonderful.
But we didn't record our Women of Marvel 2023 number one review yet. It'll be tomorrow.
That's tomorrow morning's excitement. Hey, I need to get some anger out every day, and it's best to just get it out first thing in the morning.
So sneak preview, you weren't impressed by Women of Marvel 2023?
I'm still wondering whether or not it was written by the same people that wrote the She-Hulk show, because they somehow managed to write an entire show regarding a lawyer and courtrooms, and still have a complete fundamental misunderstanding of how courtrooms work.
Very nice. We've got some super chats. Common Sense says, the time has finally come for this battle. Who will be legendary? Fiery underdog Inferno Girl Red versus the famously Common America. Who will be victorious? It's got to be Common America and the Common Crew, right?
Common America. Yep.
I never bet against Tim Lim, so
he wins every single time.
He does. So yeah, no, I'm not betting against.
Tim is still the hardest working man of all comic books. You know he's a doctor?
Yep.
He's an audiologist. He's an artist. He's got his own podcast. He's got a YouTube channel. And I think he does some stuff for radio. My goodness.
That's a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. I don't know how he keeps it all going, but Common America keeps just getting bigger and bigger. And he's even got a webtoon out. If you've ever wondered what Common America is about, you can go check out the webtoon for free. Then you can see if maybe you want to pick them up on Kickstarter or whatever. Thank you very much, Common Sense. Lane Craver says, thanks to Wes and Doc for the review of Hellcat number 1. Was it good for you, Doc? Doc's God.
That's how good it was.
Maybe not.
It knocked him out.
Yeah.
Wait. So you guys did a video on Hellcat? Because I didn't actually end up seeing that one yet.
Yeah, I dropped it last Monday.
Oh, no kidding. Mondays are touch and go.
It's busy
for me on YouTube.
Yeah. Couldn't understand
check
that
it
one.
out.
Hellcat, it's not the worst Christopher Can't Write Well story in the history of the worlds. But, he's just doing his Tom King thing where he's just breaking the character down. Now she's an alcoholic. She's popping pills, and she's got daddy issues.
Did she have time to, dress down a dude or something like that?
She was mostly getting dressed down herself because she's a star of the book.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah.
It was a little strange. She didn't look right in her uniform. Whatever. Don't buy that comic book. Buy something good. Jed McKay's Doctor Strange came out this week. It was much better. My opinion. Man.
Yep.
Callum Lyle's in the house. On Women of Marvel, do they talk about their oppressed, miserable lives and how toilets are a women's safe space? You don't know what a woman is? Is that true? Theresa, you're the resident female here. Is a toilet a woman's safe space?
No. If you're actually a man and it's a woman-only place, though, don't go in there.
Because the toilet is my safe space. That's where I can go and I can actually read my articles and stuff.
Yep.
And kids aren't, tackling me or hitting me in the balls or anything.
I watch all of Wes's videos on the toilet.
Absolutely, it's the best place.
It is.
With Wi-Fi, you can do everything on the toilet that you could do anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's exactly what it was about, Calvin. What's up?
I struggle to remember what we did when we went to the toilet before we had phones.
Magazines.
Yeah.
But see,
I read a lot more comic books.
I read a lot.
Yeah,
of
me
sports
too.
illustrated. You know what I'm saying?
My mom used to have those
Sports
trashy novels with Fabio on the cover. I used to.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, growing up, there wasn't a magazine rack in the bathroom, and I just did I just sit there and think? I don't remember.
A little basket that had
Doc
all the
thinking.
magazines.
That's
No.
what we had. It was like a
Yeah.
basket type thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't.
Or
have
maybe
that.
on back of the toilet, there might have
No.
been some stuff hanging out there,
No, I do remember my mother used to have in the one bathroom on the first floor. There was a copy of I don't know why I recall this, but it was Daily Guideposts, and I don't even know what that was.
No, neither.
We had a lot
Jim,
of
did
Reader's
you have it on
Digest.
the Thinking Critical bingo that Doc grew up like in a palace or something?
That was there, center square.
I'm not surprised he grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Really,
Like
once he
multiple
said that, I was
bathrooms?
like,
What
"Wow,
kind of
look
prick
at
are
him."
you?
No,
I remember.
It was like a powder
I thought you were
room.
relatable,
It wasn't even
Doc.
it wasn't even like a full bathroom. It was just a
It was
toilet.
one and a
sink.
half, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
I have
It was
5
only plated in
kids.
silver. There was no gold.
Yeah, 5 kids. We have
You
one
were rich.
bathroom. Holy moly!
No, this didn't even have it didn't have a shower or anything. It was just like a powder room.
Did Alfred Pennyworth wipe your ass when you were done, or
Yes, in fact, he did.
he did? Thank you.
Yeah. I traveled to the future every time to borrow X-Men comics to wipe my ass with.
You yell, "Yins, get in here!" Wipe my ass.
Yep.
My goodness. There you go, Cal. I'm sorry we went off the topic there, but it's bound to happen on a show like this. Let's get into the topics. We did have some interesting things come up with the comic sales declines, and obviously we're going to throw it up to Yule first since he's the retailer. But we got some information on sales regarding a few shops in 2022, and Coliseum of Comics, which is I believe a chain of stores in Florida. It sounds like they were able to make up for a lot of losses in new comics by selling more manga. It sounded like Graham Crackers in the Chicago area, which is a huge chain. They just kind of had losses, which you would think it wouldn't really happen in Chicago because that's a big metropolitan area. That's basically the audience that they're looking for. And there was another shop in Texas where basically they had to make it up with everything but comic selling, as I think they had 48% declines just as far as new and back issue sales. Is it really that dire right now, Yule?
Yeah, I think it is to some degree. I think we're doing pretty well as far as actually, believe it or not, selling new comic books. It is the majority. That and back issues is where I'm selling, but I'm in a unique situation than I was before, the pandemic, because I'm in a smaller location. I'm really struggling to find places to put things, and I'm really, paring down what I carry anyway. And I don't have as much room to diversify as like the store that doesn't sell new comics anymore. I have heard from other stores, maybe not directly, but if they were getting into the business right now, that they might not actually be selling new comics also. But this is one of those stores that has games and puzzles and manga, like crazy. So they're seeing a decline in their new comic book sales, whereas I'm holding pretty good, and every new customer makes, my small little ecosphere, like 1 or 2 people coming in makes, it look a whole lot better. Mm-hmm. Whereas before it used to be, a crap ton of people that would come in a much bigger store in a location that, drew people in. I think the problem with Chicago, though, and other places like that might be the big city aspect. If people aren't going, and we've seen it with restaurants talking about it now also. Where's your lunchtime rush? And, after lunch or during lunch, you go to the comic store or the whatever store that's downtown in a big city. And if less people are going there, if there's less reasons for tourists to go there, the stores that are there are going to see they're not going to see growth in almost anything, regardless of how far they go.
It's Uber Eats is the killer of comic chains.
Well, and Uber Eats was going on pre-pandemic also. In front of my store on the big street, there's always a line of cars double parked waiting for the stuff to pick up and take out. For other people that aren't even showing up. And even if I'm going to a theater, I might get Ubered over there rather than pay for parking, walk past a store and not realize that store is actually there. And I just get taken straight to my destination. And there's no commerce. There's no window shopping like it used to be. And maybe it's a change in, values or the way everything used to be different at one time.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, we would go out for like 8 hours a day unsupervised.
Oh well, yeah, that too.
Remember though, we are from the generation where they had to actually start putting PSAs on the television at 10 o'clock to say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Sure thing. And then we had to watch poor Arnold have to worry about, that video game situation he was in,
Getting ice cream and
getting ice cream. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I'm not trying to be like, woe is me. These were the old days, the good old days. I'm just saying that, like, we have, even in just a few years, have shifted the way we do things pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. I only use that as a line of demarcation right now. It's just, man, we don't care about the mall like we used to. We don't care about small businesses like we used to. Why fucking go and get a comb? I need to get a comb for what little hair I have. Well, I'll order on Amazon. It'll get to me tomorrow. Before
bundle it up.
Yeah, exactly. Bundle it up. Free shipping, man. Isn't that life?
So you think it's helped you out that you had a smaller space to fill, to where you've been more discerning, and you're like, this one feels like a loser, not even going to get a shelf copy anymore. And I need to have the comics I know that are going to draw people in, and the people that are going to show up are happy to see and going to want to buy.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's always been this way. They flood the shelves so much, Marvel and DC. But, I wish I could spend a little bit more time on, some other books that are out there. But everything moves so fast. Comics are so weekly. It's just tough to want to give space to somebody else, even if you really love something, as like me as a store owner. I really love this book and I really want to share it with people, but if it's not your mainstream, it has to be good probably, but run-of-the-mill superhero stuff, or maybe Image or Dark Horse, each other company, each other book, it dwindles less and less and less, and it's hard to take a chance on stuff, and that's a shame.
Can I ask you sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I wondered, of the comic books that you do order that are new, do you order more Marvel or more DC, or about the same?
My DC is definitely down. I really cut the numbers tight, partially because reordering's easy with Lunar, and I don't get reamed quite so much, so the reorders is a big deal. Also, I just have noticed a lot of a decline in DC readership. There's a few titles that are doing well, and some that I push that are doing okay, but you can imagine that the Batgirls doesn't sell very well under best times. Same thing with the Robin book that's being canceled, and a lot of the miniseries. You don't really expect Blue Beetle to do gangbusters or anything like that. But I do actually with DC take a chance because they offer returnability. Marvel doesn't, and I still end up with a lot more Marvel on the shelf.
Yeah, I was wondering that because so lately I write for Batman News, and we have a Discord, and I've been following Comic Book Revolution for what they say their estimates of where at least the titles are ranking, and so we've been doing that every month. And what we noticed is like, wow, like all the DC titles are just like falling down, like completely off the top 100, except for a few. And it's interesting because when I first started writing for the website last year, I remember we had so many Batman titles. I think that we had to just not review some of them because there was just too many. But now we did a poll, and aside from me, because I think I cashed in on books that they're still continuing, everybody is like almost out of books because so many things have either ended, like miniseries that have ended, or books that have gotten canceled. So I just thought that was interesting. It's interesting for me because I'm more of a Batman person. For Marvel Comics, I haven't read Marvel Comics in like 4 years, so I'm apparently the odd one out there. But people seem to be interested in Marvel when it comes to American comics, if anything.
I think it's been that way for the most part. You want to pay attention to Aaron saying something here. Arrow, that's what we should call
Arrow Sparrow. Yeah, I was actually going to say to Theresa, because I go to Batman News a lot to read reviews and always have, and it even seems like there's less engagement in our site and things too as well. It just seems people just aren't that interested in a lot of the things, which sucks.
Yeah.
Your audio is kind of funky, Jim.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Fast forward. You sounded like a transformer, like the really fast
Really?
one.
That's pretty cool.
I think, well, in terms of engagement, like there's nothing like, I mean, one of the top selling DC books according to the charts is Batman and Joker Deadly Duo, and I've been really enjoying the book. It's really good. At the same time, it's a really good book, but it's not something that reinvents the wheel. Like it's not something like there's just some books that are good, but they don't generate a lot of talk, and that's what we've been experiencing. Like it's a very high selling book, but we actually don't get a lot of clicks on it for the website. Tim Drake actually got a lot of clicks, even though he didn't sell at it. I've never seen a comic sell that low, but it's like it's controversial. So that's what got a lot of clicks.
Watching somebody effectively do a comic will help for sales. It does not help for clicks. Watching an absolute unmitigated disaster, like in slow motion for 10 months in a row, that will drive clicks. It won't sell a fucking comic book.
Yeah.
Won't put a single ass in a seat for paying for the material. But I mean, look, we all like disaster porn, and that's what that is.
And some of the things, like I ask you, do I still sound like a transformer?
A little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard a lot of it.
Jesus. Maybe I'll
Remember the guy he did
disconnect.
Micro Machines? That's what.
Oh God!
No.
Oh no, Jim, what's happened?
I was going to ask you how many copies of City Boy he is going to be ordering from DC coming up.
Oh shit! What?
City Boy.
What's City Boy? Which one's that?
It's coming up. It's going to be a mini series that's coming up from.
I think
DC.
that was the one that was in that. What was that one fucking book that you and I?
I don't think it's that
last...
one. That was
the Asian chick that.
Alyssa Wong.
I think it's
the
the
3 or
Alyssa
4, aren't there? Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Coming out a mini-series, I think.
I haven't looked at the new DC solicits yet, but oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah.
So you haven't looked at the solicits yet, so you might not have seen this, Yule.
Yeah.
Ultimate Invasion #1 from Jonathan Hickman.
Oh yeah.
Is going to be $9.
Boom.
Doc and I, that's what got Doc so upset, and that's what's going to be on the channel here tomorrow. We're going to have a pretty in-depth thing on it. But as a retailer, well, as a customer and a YouTuber, I'm like, holy shit. What's your reaction?
Well, you just saw me. You just saw the reaction.
It's 52 pages, and it promises behind-the-scenes exclusive footage and data pages in that 52 for $9.
They actually put with
They
all the
promoted
data pages and world building and behind the scenes. I'm like, you're using this as an actual fucking selling point to like get people to buy?
Are you telling me that like you're gonna do this just like every other Jonathan Hickman comic ever?
Oh, except for there's more.
Was it $9? Yes.
Well, I mean, I can go all the way back to his nightly news for Image. I can go back to Red Wing. I can go back to East of West, Avengers, Fantastic
Black
Four,
Monday Murders,
X-Men, every X-Men book that's ever going to be published until they change this style. So wow, this is going to be part of the $9.
It's
$9 for one issue. It's issue 1 of 4. So the total story, because it's only part 1 of a miniseries, so it's a quarter of a story, is going to be, in theory, $36.
Each issue is going to be $9.
I think so.
Gotta assume.
I mean, unless they drop them back, but yeah,
It's
It
$9.
doesn't
really
say it's a
hard
special
for me.
plus-sized edition. It just says that it's $9.
It's really hard for me to order 25 copies, even if I know for a fact I'm going to sell 25 copies.
Yeah.
If I think I can sell 50 copies or even 45, whoo, baby, that's a lot of money. Thankfully, no shipping.
It's the Penguin right about.
That's the thing about Penguin. I don't necessarily have to order 50 up front because I think I'm going to run out if I don't get it all at the same time. It's been better as far as reordering, especially if you do it on time. You might not get a special cover. I'm sure there'll be like some Alex Ross variant or Daniel Warren Johnson variant. Don't forget the Knock variant and the Phil Noto variant and on and on. Wow, $9. That is
That was
it
my
should be a
reaction,
good
like,
seller though. I mean, I'm not really worried about.
You don't think the
I don't
$9
think
will
so.
detract from interest?
I don't think that this sells at $9. I think this ends up being an absolute unmitigated disaster in sales.
Well, number one, they're going to look at how much money they made, and that's pretty much the only number they care about. And at $9, they're going to be making if $4.50, they're going to be making a lot of money.
But when it launches at like around 50 on the chart for a Jonathan Hickman,
If
Brian
it's 50
Hitch
at $9, that's a
it's not an issue of money. It's an issue
Right.
of my big summer event launched at number 50 on the top
But they
100.
They won't care because it will be number one in sales. You know what I mean?
It'll
That's
be
the
number
problem.
one in dollars. It'll be
dollars.
It'll be number 50 in units moved. That is
Yeah,
not
but
a
they
good
don't care about that
situation.
anymore. It's all about how much you can make on.
Okay,
something.
so we are fully on the road to there is one copy and it costs $40,000.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
That's a $40,000 cover price. They're only selling one fucking copy. They are literally making comics for like some prince in Iran. That's it. That's the only reason they even exist as a corporation.
possibly.
That is the inevitable end result of this approach to comics.
Yeah, it's like if we got like 20 people who are still interested in Marvel, we're just going to charge the books at like $10,000
Man.
each, and then we'll make our money.
Yeah.
Well, how many Hickman fans are there? You got to think, and how much do they actually, want? You're not only going to be buying 4 issues. Like you can rationalize this. I barely buy Marvel anyway. I only buy when
For
Hickman shows up.
$36, I can get like 6 mangas.
Every
You
single
can,
person,
but it won't be Hickman. And
Every
Doc
single
don't
person-
read manga.
Look, I'm sorry, but every single person that buys this comic is a fucking retard, and you deserve to lose your money.
Oh my goodness!
thinking-
If you're not a retard,
Well,
you're a
it's not
mark, sir.
losing-
You
It's
said
not
the wrong
losing
word.
money. It's choosing where you. I mean, if I get rereadability factor and I have to read this for every single issue, it's more than I get from a movie. I mean,
Oh,
a
no,
movie
he's
is $10,
rationalizing it.
$15, $20.
Are you?
He's
are
trying
you-
to make it work in his mind.
No, I'm just saying. Like, there's
you
a lot of
fucking-
things. I can't.
Hey,
I mean, I
you're
can't tell you how many 40 bags I've paid for in my life. I could have so many good comics in my back stock.
If you're rationalizing this by comparing it to a movie, then compare it to a DVD, and you can get 2.5 hours of.
That's true. I mean, why would someone stream something when they could just buy a physical copy of something? Streaming sounds. I mean, at home, you're going to spend $10 to rent a movie for like a month, and that's it. It's.
I want to bring this up. People really need to consider, like, how many people are there who like, I'm just thinking for myself, $9. I spent $9 yesterday on my food for the week. So am I going to spend it on food or am I going to spend it on a comic? But what I'm thinking
Food,
is
is that ramen and tuna?
nope.
I wish that's all I spent.
But It wasn't all my food, but anyway. But I'm just thinking the other people really need to consider. You don't need to spend $9 on a comic, because something that has gone rampant that nobody's done anything to stop is comic book piracy. The Read Comics Online is this big site. It's like so well known, and people use it all the time to read new comics or old comics. And if a comic comes out, it is not blocked off to you unless you pay for it. You can easily go on that site. Now, some people don't, because they're like, that's dishonest, that's piracy, but a lot of people do. And part of it is like DC Comics, Marvel Comics, they've never done anything to like shut that site down or discourage people from it. Some people will film comics and put it up on a slideshow on YouTube, and you can get them there. So I'm just wondering, and I know that there are people out there who are like, well, I don't want to pay for these comics, either because they don't want to waste that money or they don't know if they're going to like it or not. And they go over to Read Comics Online. So I'm like, the more that this happens, are you going to encourage more people to spend more on comics, or are you going to push people away so that they're just pirating things if they're really, really curious about it? Especially, you could read it and be like, do I really want to spend $9 on this? And then you go on there and like, oh, I don't actually enjoy it. And then you don't spend the money.
Anything less than 100
and that would
pages
be one of the reasons. Yeah.
Anything less than 100 pages is a bad value proposition.
And I was going to say that DC, that's why DC's just also was saying was DC ends up doing that month out on their app to try to get more people to, do that. But that's not day and date. People still go and pirate stuff.
Yeah,
do I still sound like a transformer?
But I don't think we see
No, you're okay.
Tried to shut down the piracy sites, and I believe it didn't.
But we don't see like an increase in numbers of people pirating, though, right? It's not like, let's say 100,000 people pirate. We're not getting 200,000 people pirating the next month or anything like that. It's just the same people. It's comic book reviewers.
Yes and no. It's a combination of, you're going to have some people that move from being readers to pirates because they're just like, this is the price and the quality and the content is not a good value proposition, but they want to keep up on the story. However, they eventually drop off. They just eventually stop. Mostly because reading comics on a computer sucks. But then you have, you do have the same people that wouldn't buy your product now, but they read it on pirate sites, but you could charge them 10 cents a copy and they still wouldn't buy it because it's because they're oftentimes broke communists that don't have any money. That's where
is
you're
Hickman
at.
even big enough to sell like a $9 comic? Hickman? No way, right?
No,
Hickman, he's got his own. He's got the biggest Substack comic there is.
He's got because it costs the most. That's it.
No, actually, my bad. James Tynan has the most people, but as far as paid subscribers, Jonathan Hickman has the most paid subscribers.
Yeah.
So he's got the Marvel method.
Yeah, but that's all of his. That's it. He has a very, very, very dedicated niche audience. He has no mainstream appeal, and he is not a draw for people that aren't already Hickman fanatics.
He's not a draw, and I think
Powers of X was like a really big time seller.
It was, and we were excited that he was coming on too. I mean, I think he might be the only person, Doc, that has mainstream appeal.
No,
General Ballsack's got you down to a science here, Doc. I like Doc, but he sounds like an old man yelling at clouds.
Yep.
Yes, I am.
Daily.
No, like I look. If Jonathan Hickman has that audience, then why in the hell don't his indie books end up even in the top 20?
Well,
they don't because I'm sorry.
Yeah, but what indie book is in the top 20?
He sells. He's a guy that can put that has decent appeal when he's on a big title. You put him on.
Dude,
I mean,
if he did, I'd be down.
Yeah, he still got Fantastic Four canceled.
Stop.
He still did.
Stop.
He's still got Fantastic Four canceled.
I can't. I mean,
Yeah, but Doc, what
Yeah,
indie books
he
are
did.
in the top
Not
20
the
that
same
aren't like
way.
a special issue 300 of Spod? You had Walking Dead and Saga, and that's it for the last, 10 years?
And Invincible, but they're all Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman is what John Hickman wants to be.
man.
Well,
And he's
Saga's
not.
Robert Kirkman. That's
I
No,
could say Jonathan.
Brian K. Vaughan.
I could say
Yeah.
I could say Robert Kirkman's Marvel run was flaccid at best,
It was.
yeah.
and he
Marvel
never
Zombies.
had Jonathan Hickman. Well, the problem is they probably sold better back then, but
Well,
he could
they did.
never. They would never have commanded a $9 comic then, though.
They did sell better, but he didn't. He wasn't a draw. Jonathan Hickman and Robert Kirkman are kind of almost opposites. Kirkman sells better on his own creative works.
Mm-hmm.
Hickman only sells on large
East
properties.
and West did well, and I mean, if you look at like per store, like the thing is that there's some stores that will never buy an Image comic book, and if they don't buy an Image comic, they're not getting Dark Horse or all the other stuff underneath them. And I mean, some stores are just superhero stores, superhero and Magic and Pokemon, or whatever it is. And it's hard for I mean, we already talked about it. Marvel and DC put so much stuff out. Image put so much stuff out. It's hard, it's hard to have a boom title. It's hard to have Oni. And it's not even necessarily like subject matter. It's like just don't have room for it. You know what I mean?
So what do you think? So we got this $9 comic book out, but there were predictions that we should see basically all comic books in the industry be $5 by the end of the year. Is that what you see happening, Yule? Because I don't think that's going to help.
If I don't lose any of my customers, it will help. As far as that's concerned, again, more money per person, but it's not helping grow anything, and that's definitely a problem. I mean, I had people that wouldn't normally come in for the Milestone book, that's $10 DC put out this last week. The Women of Marvel, it's like a $6 or $7 book. People have come in for that. They're not people that would necessarily come in for the comic, but they heard about it through whatever channel.
And if they buy either of them, they will never purchase another comic book again because
Well,
both of them were atrocious.
Because someone was coming in for the Milestone, they said, "Oh, you know what? I need the static number 2," and I sold that. So it can happen. It just isn't very often because, again, a $10 price tag, a $9 price tag, it's $5. If you add if it's a state that doesn't have tax, all right. But when you're breaking over $5, it's tough.
How about Legion of Bloom? Did that sell anything? That was $10 too, wasn't it? It's like a mismatch of different creators, trial creators, I guess.
I mean, I only get so much. So when I was saying to Theresa how I don't order a lot of DC, I know how much I want to have and how much I'm willing to carry after the fact. And then a lot of times it's returnable also. Did Legion of Bloom do well? In that regard, yes, but I didn't go crazy. And I don't want to have to pay a lot of money up front, even if I can return it sometimes, because, it's touch and go sometimes. I got bills to pay,
Yeah. Once you order that inventory, you're paid for it, and you don't get a return on investment until it arrives and it's time to sell it.
Right.
You can only lock up so much of your capital in one project.
A $9 project.
Yeah.
You know what? I think anybody here that's listening, you can just wait until stores like Yule's overorder this book and it ends up in the dollar bin like a lot of other things.
Yule's not going to overorder.
I'm not going to overorder, and I would throw a book that's $9 away before I gave it away for $1.
Just on principle?
You'll never get it. I'd rather, what I do then? I do the Marvel method. I put a $30 price tag on it, and if I sell it, all the other ones I shit can, it's okay.
Oh man, I think we're driving Skip insane. He's like the biggest John Hickman mark in the world. Man, people are busting his nuggets left and right.
I love the comments. I mean, I can't even keep up. There's so many good things being said about all of this and extra, but Give a thumbs up, everybody.
Absolutely. The live chat is lit right now. Is that what young kids say, Theresa? Is it lit still?
Yeah, we still say lit.
Boom. Got it.
We haven't moved on yet.
Thank God for that.
This chat slaps.
Oh, is that real?
Yeah.
This chat's
Well, yeah,
dope.
that's a real thing, but
I'm not doing that one. That one doesn't sound right.
No, that sounds weird.
We'll see what happens. It sounds like the comic book sales aren't doing all that good. I think we're going to get some very bad numbers when they finally do the full report.
Yeah.
I think they're laying the groundwork for just how bad it's going to be when the full numbers get out there. But it's
Can I ask
looking
you
all
one
that
question?
good.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think when we do finally see those sales that people will be bolstered like Heidi McDonald thinks?
No.
They'll be like, "Oh,
No.
I've got something to
They'll
shoot
try to
for
hide
now."
it.
What if?
They'll mix
What
it
a
in with
fantastic
everything.
journalist.
They'll hide it. They'll have some crazy spin, and that's the thing. Obviously, I was hoping that you would be on the show this week because of the sales and stuff like that. Because I like listening to them talking about it. But on my
Yeah, me
whole
too.
deal, it's more of the reviews and what these sites are doing. That's kind of where I am at, and you just see the idea that comics right now are being reviewed almost as if this is the greatest era of comics ever. And it's I don't understand it. And when we talk about the idea of somebody like Doc said, they'll pick up that one comic and it'll be like, that's the last comic they get. But what happens when you keep seeing, 10 out of 10s for, Cantwell's Iron Man, and then you go pick it up and it sucks? One of the things I'm afraid of is not that they'll say that site, if this is the best they have to offer, screw this. I'm not going to read this because they think that maybe that's the play, and it's sad.
Well, I mean, in a lot of cases, reviewers they believe that history started today.
Yeah.
And anything that came before it was just, that's old and in the past. They have no appreciation for things that are better than what they're capable of.
And they want to leapfrog into writing comics or being friends with the creators and things like that. And
That might be it.
Doesn't often work, or they want, review copies. I know Theresa will say, we get review copies. That's fine. But, you don't have to be shills just to do that as well. But they just seem to want to be.
Well, apparently, I was told when I started writing for Batman News, is we're considered the gold standard of reviewing by DC Comics because they feel like we are the only ones who are honest about what we actually think. And that's how I felt before, because Batman News would kind of be the only review site, that and Weird Science, because I feel like we're the only two comic book sites that actually, when I see varied scores, I can be like, oh, we're being honest about what we actually think, whether I agree or not. When Dark Knight News is it's given 10 out of 10
10 out of
reviews
10
to everything,
right across the board.
No flaws in these comics. I'm like, that's
Theresa, are they okay
impossible.
with that, DC? They don't mind the 4 out of 10s and the 5s when you guys are being honest, which I really appreciate. They don't mind?
We send our reviews directly
you
to
send them to
DC Comics
Oh,
every
wow.
week. So whether or not the writers accept what we say, what we criticize about it is another thing. But I think that other sites like Adventures in Poor Taste, Dark Knight News, Geek Dad, any of these sites you'll see on Comic Book Roundup, they feel afraid for some reason.
They
maybe
don't go under
because-
8s.
Yeah, they feel
exactly.
afraid. The worst I will see is a 7 from them. They're afraid, if we criticize, and they contradict themselves because, sometimes I'll see them, they'll praise a certain direction in a comic, and then if it takes a different direction, they'll also praise that direction. So it's I'm not even seeing your actual opinions here. I'm just seeing you say yes to everything to get another treat, essentially.
Yeah.
The only thing at Weird Science that doesn't make any sense is Gabe's
It's
reviews.
Gabe. Gabe throws it out.
Gabe.
Gabe and that Predator, I'll never get over it. But I'll even say that we were offered, DC actually got a hold of us to, get review copies, and they did that based on a 3 out of 10 review that I did. They actually got a hold of me, and the guy said that it made him laugh because I put curse words in the review and made some jokes, but we actually got review copies from a 3 out of 10 book, and you can tell at points when they kind of are a little bit, get a little bit antsy on some of the things, but for the most part, they're pretty good at letting you do what you do, but yet these other sites are just running scared all the time, and I don't understand. And it's funny, when I go to look, like if I say to myself, oh, I want to check out what I reviewed, Tom King Batman number 22, I'll go back. I go right to the bottom, because I know that, our scores, being honest, aren't going to be at the 10 out of 10s, that there's 50 of those. And I mean, even Theresa, one of the things that, I know that you love, it's like they think that things like a Harley Quinn, recently, and even in the distant whatever, that's been rated better than, say, I mean, pick any great comic run of all time, and they just think that these things are always the greatest, and it makes everything else just go to crap.
Well,
it really
speaking,
does.
I have a funny story to tell about that, actually. So usually when we send our reviews to DC Comics, we won't get a response. We just send them in. We have to just trust that they're going to be sent out. So I review the Harley books for DC, and they have 2 going on right now, and that's one too many, because they're not doing well. And this Frank Thierry. There's a Frank Thierry miniseries that should not be out. It's called Harley Screws Up the DCU. That specifically. It's not. So I made it. It's like a very intricate title. It's Harley, not Harley Quinn. It's not DC Universe. It's DCU. So I spelled it in my review. It's Harley Quinn. I spelled it Harley Quinn screws the DCU, not screws up, screws. And I didn't realize the mistake I had made. And people in our comment section were like, "Is that a joke? Is that a mistake?" And I'm like, "What are they talking about?" Because I didn't realize, because it's like such a specific title. So I sent my review to DC Comics. It was not a positive review. I get an email back from DC Comics, from one of their representatives, saying, "Can you please change the title to the way it is reflected on the comic?" And I'm like, "What?"
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "Oh, I put screws and not screws up, and that changes the entire meaning of the comic." And so I'm like, I'm sorry. And so we changed
Your
it. And
title was
fixed
better.
it. And but to be fair, like the other people at Batman News were like, I would think that would be the kind of title that DC would put on a Harley Quinn book, actually. But
in the moment.
You know what? I think that would be a more entertaining comic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness.
I'd read it, Doc.
I'd read it in 2-page increments. And then I'd have to come back a few hours later and say again. I no, look, the overall comic industry right now is just falling apart. I kind of am here to watch it.
Yeah, that's what it seems like a lot of people are, though, and that gets scary too. And when you end up seeing more people just wanting to watch something that's a train wreck instead of people wanting to fix it, you get into some problems here. And a lot of the fans, I mean, you're the prime example. The idea that DC and Marvel, they've lost so many fans, how do you get them back? And I don't know how, because they have duped everybody enormous amount of times. And, how do they gain that trust, and how do they get things back? And you can sit there and say, we need better editorial, we need better writers, but is there anybody out there to do that?
No.
I don't know. No, that's the problem. And, yeah, and when these sites keep going and just, pretty much saying this is a golden age of comics, it gets frustrating, because you don't end up solving anything when one half of the side is saying that it's the greatest thing ever still, and then the other half of the side just wants to watch a train wreck, and then the comic lovers are caught in between.
There's one side that's about, I don't know, 10,000 people that overall like the direction of comics. You probably got about 20,000 that hate it, and probably 200,000 across the states, at least, that have become so just jaded and driven away. Look, the opposite of love is not hate. No. It's apathy.
It's disinterest. Yeah.
And you have managed to make. There's only a few of us that actually hate the direction of comics, because we still give a shit enough. But even I'm on the point of becoming apathetic, and in a lot of ways I am. You know what? Set your fucking money on fire. I don't care. Burn your IP to the ground. It's no skin off my back. I don't care.
And you say that's why I think that you get somebody like Tom King on Wonder Woman. It's not because they think he's going to write a good Wonder Woman comic. It's because that's going to generate some buzz and get some people interested.
Some buzz, yeah.
Let's hear from the peoples. We've got a lot of super chats in here to get through. Miss Maria, reading Mosley by Boom Comics. It's really good. Is anyone else reading Mosley by Boom Comics?
Very few people in my store.
No,
I didn't read it.
You didn't check it out?
I don't know.
I don't read a lot of Boom Comics mostly. I
just want to know what the ambulance was doing in the background noise there, because there was an ambulance in somebody's background.
It wasn't me.
And I'm curious. Who died? I want to. That's more interesting than the state
Let's
of
get
the
back on
comic
track.
industry.
Well, I'll definitely have to check that one out, Miss Maria. Thank you for the recommendation. Grateful Dog. Check out Chuck Dixon's Archaven Conan book.
That's right. He wrote a Conan novel. Yeah. That's right.
Yes, I want to read that.
It's actually hard to get to do that. They don't just let everyone write Conan.
Yeah.
So that's actually quite a big honor for him. And obviously Chuck Dixon's done some great stuff. We've had him on the channel here once before. Let me try to get Chuck back. He was great and knows a lot about comic books. Grateful Dog also said Yule has Whatnot being more prominent change sales.
No, because I don't do the online selling, and I know that there's like Rob Liefeld does his Whatnot. I guess people clip him, and he says stupid things that they like to like show people online from his guy just jibber jabbers, and when you do that you say stupid things sometimes.
Absolutely.
But no editing when it's live. Whatnot, I kind of am like anti Whatnot because they're selling comic books, they're foregoing stores, they're it's kind of like a platform for other people to sell. Again, I have a store. There is, though, for you Transformers fans out there, there's going to be a comic called Astrobots coming out, and I just got a preview of it, and so this made me reconsider my Whatnot stance. It's written by Simon Furman, so you Transformer dorks out there know who that is, and the art is really good. It's good. It's good machinery.
Is it actually a Transformers comic?
No, it's not at all. It's called
it's GoBots.
Okay,
it's GoBots. All right.
Yeah, it's basically, I don't know if they transform, but it's machinery. It's Simon Furman. It looks good. Yeah, Transformers dorks will probably enjoy it.
Very nice. Ryan Wilson says, I feel like right this moment DC is better than Marvel and has a brighter future. PKJ, Wade, Adams, Zdarsky, Ram V. Well, PKJ, Ram V, Zdarsky are all working for Marvel. They all have books over there as well. But I will admit DC has the better high-end titles with The Flash, with Batman, Superman, Batman the Deadly Duo. So they definitely have the better top flight high quality books.
One of the things I looked at the new solicits. I'm going to do a solicits podcast later, and Ram V isn't on a lot of his books at Marvel for June, and then they're going into that symbiote summer of symbiote, and it doesn't look like he's on any of those either. He might be pulling back off.
Now.
I'm not a huge fan, so I just wanted to point that out. All the rest, though, pretty good. But it's a shame Jeremy Adams' Flash is ending, though. And he's heading off to Green Lantern.
Yeah, that is a shame. Where's
Green Lantern is a better
that?
comic anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can jazz up Flash and get people that don't read it normally to check it out, it might be good. And then if you put Adams on something that can be good or even better,
hopefully it ends up like a Shrek 2, where not that many people read his Flash, but the word of mouth goes and everybody goes to the Green Lantern.
Yeah.
So you
Sales
end up having a hit.
rising on Flash. They actually did a good job, and now they're removing, and that made sense. Callum says, on what Jester Bell said on Read Comic Online, the other reason people do go there is because the authors tell people to F off and don't buy it.
There's a funny thing about this, and usually when the argument with manga versus Western comics comes up, and a lot of people, including myself, say, well, the mangakas, the people doing them, are really, really thankful to people. But I'll even go a step further, where people are so turned off when they, these current writers are on Twitter, they tell everybody F off. I guarantee you in the chat that a lot of the people who are reading manga right now don't even know who the creators are on it, and they still love the manga. And that's these people who are writing these comics and just get so over the top toxic against their fans. They have to realize that it's screwing their thing up. And I don't think they'd do that if they were, doing their own indie thing fully. They're there
Jim,
at DC or Marvel, and then
in Japan,
boom. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, man, but in Japan, there's a saying in Japanese, and it translates as "the customer is God."
Yeah,
go.
that's a little better than
Korea's
right.
customer
God.
is king.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. Michael Johnson Curry says it can't be coincidence that comic sales have gone down, yet page views on these pirate sites go up. Plus, torrents are always being downloaded. I don't. I'll have to take your word for it. I don't know that the page view on the pirate sites are going up. I've never actually looked into it.
How do you find that out, even?
Man.
I'm certain that there's a way that you can find clicks on a website.
Yeah.
Over time, but I've never done that type of research. But if that's going on, it's them costing themselves money, I guess. Gobbett says, I believe Ultimate Invasion should be released as a graphic novel. Why Marvel stopped releasing graphic novels? Their good ones are like Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom graphic novel. Well, the best graphic novel is the death of Captain Marvel. Maybe you got Man Loves, God Kills?
God Loves, Man Kills.
God Loves, Man Kills. It makes more sense
except
than what I said.
Actually, the other one would be a lot funnier.
That's really deadly.
Also, though, as much as I like God Loves, Man Kills, it ruined the X-Men. Yeah.
But I would say this. I think a good 80% of all periodic comic books should be released as graphic novels and not periodic comics these days.
No.
Because they're not actually utilizing the medium itself the way it's supposed to be.
That's the thing, though.
Most
Now
are just telling stories.
What stories are coming out now that are going to be the big graphic novel or trades down the line? I mean, there's not a lot.
You went full Micro Machines again, Jim.
Oh,
What's
no.
that?
I'm kind of digging it.
I'm
You
not.
sound like the Micro Machine guy again.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay.
And hopefully Jim does that for his podcast too. It'd be much. You feel like it was going faster.
the hell's going on?
Not.
It's
Yeah,
StreamYard sometimes, mate. It's weird sometimes. It happens.
There you go. Wade Kramer says, anyone else nervous over ASM 25 or 27 solicit from June? This is the solicit. Grief looms over Peter after last week's shocking death. Spider-Man's villains are more than happy to keep him distracted. Your eyes don't deceive you. Dr. Octopus is back. Well, you're nervous about Dr. Octopus?
Someone's dying?
They're going to kill MJ? They've already done enough to their
Not MJ, I don't think. Did you see the cover for 26, Wes? So it actually says on the cover, it's got it printed out, this is the most shocking Spider-Man issue in 50 years. To even say that on the cover, how that just slaps of desperation.
Well,
desperation. You ended up having Nick Lowe, the editor, the other day. He was crowing that Spider-Man got a second printing. He was on, saying, "Take that, haters! We're getting a second printing of Spider-Man 20."
It was the number one selling comic book last month.
There was a second printing of number 14. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Check out his editorials.
He wanted to throw that out for people. Yeah, he wanted to go and people who weren't in the know thinking, "Oh my God, really? That's great." But I think it was a reaction because he ended up being pissed off that when the big reveal of who might be behind all that stuff that happened to Peter and MJ, nobody cared. It just was a dud. Nobody was talking about it.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Too late.
Well, we shall see who dies. If it's the most shocking thing in 50 years, it must be MJ, right? Talking about the death of Gwen Stacy.
Peter Parker is pregnant. That's what's shocking.
Yeah. No, they'll just bring back Gwen to kill her again.
He's going to have spider babies. He's going to have a sack.
Damn me.
They've had Gwen Ghost a lot. Maybe they'll just, keep going with that.
You know what? They already had pregnant spider, bag of babies. Spider-Man way back during the Spectacular Spider-Man run that Ramos was on with Paul Jenkins.
Yes.
When he was an actual spider for a little while. So they already kind of did
Paul
that.
Jenkins, wow.
That was the other storyline? Was that what it was?
It was around then, yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Quarter Irish. When talking about bad comic sales, are we talking about only floppies or digital and collections coming into the conversation? So, all right, here's the scoop. If you don't know this, digital sales are down by over 50% because Comixology doesn't work anymore. So, yes, digital sales are absolutely dead, and we're talking about floppy comics. We're not so much talking about trades, and we're certainly not talking about manga.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it's not that like manga isn't included in the conversation when you talk about the store. It's just that, you know, we're talking about American comics right now, and manga is affecting American comic sales to some degree also. It's like kids aren't given comics like they used to be, but then they're not at grocery stores like they used to be, or liquor stores. There's not even liquor stores anymore, you know, really.
And they're also not impulse buy products.
Right. Well, when you have to spend more than $5, my dad said, "You want to be a millionaire? You create something that kids want that costs less than $5."
No, you can't even it's not $5. It's $2. $2 was the demarcation line.
Yeah.
Maybe it was.
Well,
all I know is when I was in the hospital as a kid and I almost ripped my arm off, my mom's friend showed up and she had comic books with her.
Yeah.
Because that's what you brought
It
kids.
still happens. I had a parent, her kid tore his ACL in practice, and she got him a bunch of like old versions, you know, the facsimile comic books, and there you go. It happens. She just spent like $20 on 3 comics.
Exactly.
Wes, just very briefly, can I just ask about the digital? Do they even count towards sales? Because I'm like you, I'm in a place where I can't get physical copies. I have to buy it, unfortunately. Digital, I don't think they even count, do they, towards sales?
Yeah. It's always typically been like about 10 to 12% of the entire industry, but it went up to 15% over the last 2 years because of COVID.
Yeah,
you're going to see it go down below 10% because of what happened with Comixology this past year.
And that's the thing. Once COVID hit and the increase, they should have learned from that and had something set up of their own and had their own way of doing this, an integrated way to get the comics in the app, all that stuff, and they just sat on their hands. They end up always behind. They never look to the future or look to what actually is succeeding. They're blind to all of that. They don't want to admit anything. And you said it already, Wes. They're not going to admit that anything's down. And we see that it is, but they won't. And then you, again, right back to the websites, they'll skew the numbers. They'll end up saying that this and that. Okay.
Do you see this guy's avatar? Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia.
Ooh.
Did they win this year?
I don't think so.
I thought it was Kansas City.
Yeah, I think so.
Either way, R33S3M, thank you very much. Glad I caught you guys live. Or is it love? I'm going to say it's love. Thanks for keeping me entertained. Well, that's what we do. We're here for the geek speak.
Here for the love, Wes.
Absolutely. Nerdy Girl creates, for $9, I can invest in multiple manga apps and have access to more titles. Yeah, you'll have access to more than one title. You'll get a full story.
Jonathan Hickman
Kodansha's coming out with an app too.
You don't have those the back matter that he puts in.
You won't have the data pages to keep you informed on how.
You only get 3 pages of color when you read that manga comic.
Does anyone read those?
Director's comment. That's like buying a DVD. That's like buying a DVD for the director's commentary.
No, I think his data pages are actually interesting and do build up the story itself. I'll give him that. But once he went away, I don't read the data pages for any X-Men comic because it's like fucking menus or a karaoke
just skip
bar,
them.
like
I'm sorry, I skip them.
Well, if it was just the menus and karaoke song play, I would actually read it. But it's just what I just read or what I'm going to read, you know?
Yeah. Sully, the Sultan of Soup himself, Eric O'Sullivan, the only man with a comic book and food channel in one. Exo Manowar #1 was very disappointing and boring in my opinion.
Yeah.
Wes is a huge fan. Did you get to read that one this week? Good morning to awesome panel and live chat. So I read that one 5 weeks ago and I actually made a video to warn people not to buy it. unless you really like the Liam Sharp art, which is absolutely fantastic. It
Gorgeous.
looks like $1 million
So
and it
good.
reads like shit. It doesn't sound like Erica Dacia. It doesn't sound like the Shanhara armor. And just the story itself was stupid. Why would you think that a missile was a meteor? They're made of different, like.
Well,
you
who
could
was
just tell
writing it,
Clunrad or
Wes? Who was
stupid.
writing it?
Yeah.
Clunrad.
Clunrad.
Clunrad, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gabe was recommending that one too. What the hell's wrong with you, Jim?
Don't blame me for Gabe. I mean, seriously, that guy is out there. Yeah, but
your
that's
fault,
the
Jim.
thing. I'll say the whole play, just a little deal. I have never once told anybody on the site, you can't rate this that way. It's all, everybody's, at least if they can look themselves in the mirror. And I don't know if Gabe can. The idea that if it's your honest opinion, it goes up, and there you go. He has some weird takes, I'll tell you that.
Technically, he didn't recommend it. He gave it a 7.5 out
Seriously,
of 10.
he
but
seemed
at
to
least
like
2.5 was in the
he
dessert.
seemed to like this week's Wonder Woman, and then I read it. I was like, "What the heck is he talking about?"
That Gabe guy. Oh, there you go. Whoopa Troopa. That's a pretty good avatar.
Hey,
I like that
Whoopa.
handle.
Hey.
Why spend $5 on bad comics when you can spend $5 to support some cool YouTubers? Hail to you at all. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. I'm more entertaining in 5 minutes than an entire DC comic can be. In all week, you know what I'm saying?
For the most part, yeah, I agree. There was a couple of
For the
DC comics I liked.
You.
I'm competing with Batman, Superman, World's Finest. I think I got the edge.
Yep. Watch on the toilet.
It's close, Wes.
Exactly.
It's close.
Well, if you don't have those lame backup stories, so that's why
Yeah,
you
he's got
went out
lame
over
ass Doc.
DC.
At least he's hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Comes in
Outside Spurrier.
fire. HH, the guys from Sigma Comics, shout out to the Thinking Critical team from Cleveland Fan Expo. Support your LCS, and Thinking Critical Comics needs a true, powerful voice. Look no further and hit the like button. Absolutely. If you're in the Cleveland area, make sure you hit those guys up. The HH is going to sell you on some fun comic books. And you're actually getting Here Comes Calico, not only released as a comic book, also as a manga as well, doing a little experimentation. And it sounds like it's absolutely working out for those guys. And they will be available nationwide via Diamond, I believe, in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I just ordered it actually. I think it's like 2 months away, and I think it's $2.99 a cover, if I'm not
Very
mistaken.
nice.
So yeah, check that one out. Fantastic Comics.
In Berkeley, California.
That's right.
Skip, too much. You need to go up and visit you. We'll get you a copy, buddy.
I think Skip dipped out.
You made Skip dip with all of your old man talk?
No, with my laughing at at John Hickman's ability to quit on things.
We've got the doctor. This $10 wasted here, hey, gets maybe more value than a $9 Marvel comic, because at least this comic won't get retconned by the end of the super chat.
Which is correct.
This isn't a waste, Doc. This is primetime real estate. People know
I
who
need
you
to
are
be
now.
number one.
My goodness. Well, thanks
Where's
for
the
supporting
variant
channel,
cover
Doctor.
on this?
Well, that's the somebody's got to pay me $25 for the
My
variant
goodness.
Gotcha.
super chat.
That's the
I feel
side
you're
glance
taking
at the
advantage of me
end.
to make a point here, Doc, but I'll go with it. Thank you very much. R33S3M. No judgment, but are there any straight white dudes out there to the Hellfire Gala? If so why does it sell?
No.
I did not hate the one issue Hellfire Gala last year. I did not hate it.
Was it Spider-Man?
Probably that was it.
No.
I kind of I didn't have to read multiple issues, so that was a bonus. And I really think that was ultimately what it was. But I kind of felt like, it was an issue that, didn't suck wholly. So there you go. There's your straight white guy that's sort of into it.
The Venn diagram of people that like the Met Gala, that are willing to spend money on a comic and want to read a superhero comic about the Met Gala is like 9 people.
Yeah.
He
The
didn't
first
say
one
straight
was-
white. He just said
No.
straight dudes. So
The first
I
one was
narrowing
my
it.
I
jumping
didn't
off
know.
point.
It's
put
just 9
myself in
people.
there.
It's just 9 people in the world now. Congratulations, you're the only straight person that liked it.
Damn, there you go.
Oh,
I mean, it
more than
wasn't. I didn't hate it. Like I said, the other one was so upsetting that this one actually felt better. When you get hit a bunch of times with a stick and then it's plastic, it's not so bad.
It feels like it's a much better proposition. Exactly. Michael Johnson, Curry, Doc. The demarcation line has increased. Look at Fortnite. Kids will buy a skin for $5 to $10 without thinking about it.
No. Go into every convenience store on the planet and look at what's right next to the register. It's $2.50 max. That is still the impulse. That's the impulse buy section of literally every grocery store.
Yeah, but kids don't use that anymore. They use their
every kid still goes into the fucking convenience store to buy shit. They go to buy a soda.
I'm telling you right now,
I can't get a soda magically appear out of my phone.
My kids,
those Hostess donuts are really expensive now.
Yeah, but they're also not next to the register. They're further back in the store now.
I'd be surprised to find anything for $2.25 in California right now. But
okay, California doesn't count. I mean, you people don't even have an economic system. You just have crazy.
Hey, I've lived in California all my life. I don't know anything different.
Yeah, you people that's not even an economic system. That's just insanity.
Right. You just ship it out everywhere else.
I appreciate you editing yourself, Doc, and not get me demonetized there because I could feel it coming.
Really.
Oh yeah,
me too.
You started stuttering.
And but no, walk into literally your neighborhood 7-Eleven and look what's right next to the register.
It's hot dogs, Doc, and it's taquitos. They're delicious.
They're still not right next to the register. I'm talking right next to the register. That stuff is $2 to
lottery tickets, Doc.
Tell you,
you can buy a pair of $3 sunglasses next to the register.
My bank account got levied because of Madden points. So they're definitely like that sort of thing. That's really what my kids went nuts.
So what you're saying is, but that's a different thing also because when you're doing app charges and things like that, the kids don't realize what they're doing.
No, they have no clue. Digital money for digital goods.
All right, let's not.
It doesn't
like
have
Jim's
any.
Kids are my kids' age. His kids are 20. All right, they knew what the fuck they were doing.
Now, one of my kids is 27. 27.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really, Jim?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, because they were getting away with it.
Bitch knew what he was doing, Jim.
Yeah, they all knew what they were doing.
Seriously, kids.
They knew what they were doing. Yeah, that was not just
7.
a deal.
He was trying to get tricked into that.
I was trying to connect it with the Fortnite thing, but the comment.
But digital money for digital
down with the
goods,
kids,
not. The impulse buy level for digital money and digital goods is completely different than when you're physically picking up a product. It's
the problem is though, Doc, nowadays things are more digital. That's kind of the way it is, and that maybe why are comics suffering? Maybe that's just
20 years. In 20 years, all the kids are going to be bored. They're going to have fucking implants and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to read our comics on computers. Now you got your fancy digital eyeballs and everything.
They are still going to be walking into 7-Eleven to buy a candy bar and a soda.
No, they won't. I got that Uber to me, dude.
Exactly.
I got Uber. I got a drone to me. Uber drone.
Plus, I'm not letting my kid walk to the 7-Eleven. Are you insane? That's why I have sodas and candy bars at the house so they don't leave. It's too dangerous out there.
I thought Philippines was safe, Wes.
No,
that's how the 27-year-olds are racking up the email.
This entire country is risk averse.
I'm in Japan, so I've got used to it. Maybe.
Yeah. There's a reason why they use candy. I mean, you got to keep that at home.
Man, the first time I was here, there was a bus, and we were driving behind it, and there were 4 dudes on top of it, and we're going down the highway. We're not in the city. I was like, what is going on? She's like, yeah, they ran out of room. They're sitting on top. Like, Jesus.
Sounds like India. Wow. Top of the trains.
Yes. It's like, this place is insanely dangerous. Dark Admiral March Hare, who's been with us for day one. Doc is extra salty today. What did you force him to read, Wes? I forced him to read Women of Marvel 2023 #1. And we didn't review it yet, so he hasn't got it off his chest. Let's put it that way.
It's terrible.
Oh God, I can only imagine. I feel for you, Doc.
Miss Maria, Doc sounds like Grandpa Simpson. Man, Grandpa Simpson's way more funny than Doc, right?
And guess what? I'm still fucking right. I don't care. I'm still right. See, even Eric O'Sullivan is agreeing with me in the chat.
Some clouds need to be yelled at. That's what you said.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see if we can get an extra topic or two in here. We did have the big breaking news out of the MCU. Victoria Alonso, first she left Marvel, and it turns out she was actually fired. HR was involved. Lawyers were involved. All the top brass at Disney were involved. Apparently it has something to do with her helping to create and promote in any project that she wasn't supposed to do. But HR was also in on that. They wouldn't have been probably involved in something like that. I know a lot of people are excited about this. Theresa, you are a movie aficionado yourself. You're an actress. Is this good news for the MCU?
Well, I hope it is, but it's like it's just because I've gotten my hopes up so many times for things like in comics or things to change, and then I've been disappointed. So I actually have to see actual change happening. I mean, they're definitely aware of the problems with the MCU. Because, I mean, they've delayed so many things. There were supposed to be 5 Disney Plus shows coming out this year. Now there's supposed to be 2, and we still don't have release dates for those. They've been moved back again. So they know that there's problems. It's no coincidence that this is happening right after Quantumania bombing, essentially. And Shazam 2 bombing. You know, Marvel and DC affect each other when they have movies that are flop, because the MCU, kind of like comics, where Marvel is the comic book side that brings people to the shops. The MCU has been what has ushered in this golden age of superhero movies, and now that's dying, and now DC is not having any interest in it either. But it was interesting because yesterday there was this article that came out around lunchtime where they said the reason why Victoria Alonso was fired is because she was cross-promoting a film and she wasn't allowed to do that, and so she was fired. And I'm like, I don't believe that, because there's no coincidence that this person who has been with Marvel for like 15 years now, she didn't have as much power before as recently, but she has actually been with Marvel for 15 years. There's no way that coincidentally when Marvel is having these problems, especially with VFX, and she was getting all the blame for what has been going on with their VFX, whether it's been the mistreatment of the workers or how bad the VFX have looked. There's no way.
I think it allows them to get out of the contract with cause, which means they don't have to give her that golden parachute.
Yes,
well, here's the last part of that. An hour later, after this article came out, Victoria Alonso's lawyer came out and was furious and said that is a lie that she was let go over this. It was because. Really? And they said she was let go because they wanted her to do something that she found reprehensible, and that's why she left. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right either, because Victoria Alonso, who's been really, really mistreating these employees, I'm like, what could she possibly find reprehensible that movie? She would want to do?
The script is way too makes too much sense. It's highlighting the hero. We can't have that.
I think that there's more to the story, and I think that both sides are maybe trying to cover up the truth, but I hope that the truth comes out.
Oh, it's coming out. They're already in public. Just the way that they did it.
But that is a sign that, and I've listened to a lot of other people give their thoughts. They think that this might be a warning to Kevin Feige, like she might be taking the fall for all that's been happening, but it might be a warning to Kevin Feige to get things on track. But Victoria Alonso was one of the ones pushing a lot of the diversity Marvel characters, like Miss Marvel. She was saying things like the characters are not the characters, they are the costume. A superhero is a costume, so you can change out anything, pushing characters like Ironheart, because you can just replace Iron Man with anybody, so she thought. So definitely I see them making that move based on that, because that has been something clearly not working. But I think that a lot of these problems go deeper into Disney and how they've been handling things. And the problems might be a bit too deep right now to see change for a long time. So they're shooting Captain America: New World Order, and I have no interest in that movie. That is a part of the new stuff. I don't see why I would be interested in that at all. The writers, they still have the Rick and Morty writers who have been making all of these.
Still?
Yeah, they still have these bad writers. They still have talent like the guys who wrote Quantumania are doing Avengers Secret Wars.
Yeah.
So there's so many problems still. So we know that the problems are out in the open, and we know that they're there. they're not a secret. They're not hiding. Oh, we're still making so much money. Everything Marvel is fine. No, it's all coming to roost now. But I'm not sure that we'll see positive change for a long time. I think a lot more needs to happen. I think Hollywood in general is going to suffer for the next couple of years because
it'll take 5 years.
They don't have because the superhero movie mania that was holding up theaters, which they say the theater system going to physical distribution is still the most profitable, so they still want to keep that alive, but they don't have the alternatives up yet. Like last year, the biggest movie was Top Gun Maverick. It was Avatar. It wasn't Doctor Strange 2 or even the Batman. But they don't have more movies like that set up yet, and they haven't really nurtured new directors with these.
They've got 3 more Avatar movies set up.
Yeah,
directed them all.
Right.
Yeah, but that's not going to come out for another 2 years.
Theresa, the superhero movie fatigue at the moment, it's huge, isn't it? Apathy. People have had enough. As comic book fans, we're kind of tired of them, aren't we? Even us, we're like, take a break, guys.
I'm tired of the crap they're giving me now. I wasn't tired when I watched Spider-Man No Way Home. I was like,
no, that was awesome.
Well, that's the thing is that we wouldn't feel this fatigue if they were good movies, if we had a good story.
Yes.
I mean, my sister, she the last Marvel movie she watched was Doctor Strange 2. She really hated it, and she's like, I don't even know where they're going anymore. And she loved No Way Home, but she's like, I don't even know where they're going with these movies anymore. But for me, it's like if you start coming out with good superhero movies, and there's always going to be superhero movies. There's always going to be I think there's going to be some here and there that people are interested in. Like I think that the Batman stuff is still going to have some interest in it. But I'm just like, at the same time, I've gotten 10 years of just superhero blowout mania. There was the CW verse with all of those shows that were popular for a while and then they died out. There was
Disney Plus too.
Oh, she was doing good.
Man, she was on a fucking roll.
I know.
Yeah, man. It's flying.
She must have been more into the Netflix Marvel verse that they had.
Disney Plus are after her, Wes.
Yeah, go out and come back
They
in.
just pulled her off the air.
No.
They did. They said no more reviews for you.
Remember the days of Blade and Spawn and The Crow when superhero movies were few and far between.
I'm
but
a little upset
they
that
were
you're
good.
putting that Spawn movie in the same ballpark as
I do though.
Come on.
I feel that Spawn was more important to superhero comic book movies. Like it showed what could happen. It wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't necessarily that it was good. The special effects were not good, but there hadn't really been anything like that at the time.
No.
And I think that the willingness to do that showed that it could be done, and I think it was kind of important. So
yeah, but people knew what Spawn was. It had the HBO show with Todd McFarlane.
No, I
was the biggest
know.
name.
I mean, the actual live action movie just. There had been things like Darkman in the past and stuff. Well, I mean, around that time,
Darkman was good too.
It was very good. But, not everybody looks at that as like being very important. And I think like those are some of the superhero movies that we can look back at and say, oh, these are the ones that predated the ones that are actually good.
Yeah, my thing now.
Him in there, man. When he's even before Taken, when he was still a badass.
I love Darkman. Darkman's one of my all-time favorites. But
how is that same director doing?
This is the question, Yule. What's better, The Crow, Darkman, or Blade?
I'm gonna say Darkman.
Darkman.
That's tough.
Blade 2
Darkman
is better.
more like a comic book in movie form than Blade or the other one.
No, I'm going for Blade. Sorry,
but
Blade.
The Crow had the better soundtrack.
Well, The Crow did have a better soundtrack.
Yes.
Remember when he's running on the rooftops? Oh, that's so fucking good.
Oh, I love this Meteor Man and Steel in the comments. I wouldn't suggest Steel.
Blake Man, that was a sketch.
Ben Affleck's Daredevil.
Man, yeah, man.
Oh my god.
Give me that. Yeah, definitely.
What the hell did I walk into?
No Condor Man.
I know.
We're talking about the great
Condor
superhero movies that have been around, Doc. Somebody's trying to claim that Spawn was as good as The Crow.
No.
No, nobody said that.
Not as good as. I just was saying it was important to
You put them in the same ballpark. That upset me.
Going forward.
I think Spawn should be in the same ballpark as Steel, although it's better than that.
Although Spawn also did have a pretty good soundtrack.
Oh, there you go.
I don't
Yes,
remember
not as good as The Crow, as Wes said, but still good.
The Crow's
Still good.
pretty good.
That's a great soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, what had a better soundtrack than the Crow or Guardians of the Galaxy? Pick one.
Well, see, The Crow was mostly an original soundtrack, whereas Guardians of the Galaxy is going to a specific time period and grabbing the greatest hits of that genre.
Classic hits.
It's now
like the
that's
Forrest
what
Gump soundtrack is unbeatable because it has every great song
Yeah.
for 40 years
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, the Crow or the Guardians of the Galaxy was that's what I call music 1977.
It's called freedom rock, man.
Yeah,
Turn it up.
Turn it up.
Miss those
What do you
albums.
think about this, Doc? Is anything going to change with the MCU? I think she's falling on the sword, but
I think you'll see some changes.
I think if there is change, it won't be because Victoria Alonso left. I think it'll be because they're pulling back on production and doing less.
Yeah, and I think that they'll actually have some time to. I think some of the producers were wildly stretched thin, and they're going to cut back on a lot of the production. They'll have time to actually kind of do some quality control that they weren't able to do whenever they were just shitting out movies like the world's worst Mexican food. That's kind of, like a really, really, really big dinner at Arby's the next day. Yeah, that's kind of the way that the MCU felt for the last.
What's a
couple of
better
years.
movie, Dredd or Judge Dredd?
Dredd.
Come on.
Dredd without a doubt. Dredd
Is Dredd one of the 5 best comic movies ever made?
I'd say it's probably one of the 5 best, most comic accurate movies.
It's like right up there with Sin City.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's one of the best because there are some others that I really, really enjoyed. But you know what? For the budget they had, for keeping it as true to the comic, I think you're right there. Top 5.
Yeah, but
I
Dark,
still
hearing
say X2
Stallone
is my
say,
favorite
"I have the law."
Superhero movie.
Come on.
X2 was it
X-Men United. Yeah.
X-Men United?
Yeah.
That's the best one.
I think it's the most. It's one of the one. It's probably still the best X-Men movie.
Easily.
Followed by Days of Future
Better
Past.
than Days of Future Past?
I think it's better than Days of Future Past.
When Magneto finally gets in the room with those young mutants, and they weren't thinking because we're buddies now, and he starts turning them. I loved it. I was like, man, this guy is devious.
Yeah.
He's such a good actor.
I think that X2 is also up there. I mean, but it loses it for being not comics accurate because it had that Bryan Singer black biker gear.
It's just the uniforms, Doc.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like the X-Men is a result.
Wait, the X-Men were that way.
I know they changed it because of the fucking movie.
Whoops.
But that opening to X2 was amazing.
First Class is good too.
And actually, you know what? They actually didn't even change the comics until X2 was coming out because they didn't change it for like a full, solid 2 years after X-Men.
You're right.
After the first X-Men, because they launched X-Men and they were still doing the the X-Men movie and everybody's still wearing spandex, and it was a solid 2 years before Grant Morrison came on.
Doc, how excited were you for Victoria Alonso being fired?
I was, you know what? I am quite happy. She was definitely promoted beyond her capabilities. I thought she was perfectly, she's kind of like the Tom Brevoort of Marvel Studios, where she was really, really good at her one job. And the minute she got involved in actual content direction is when it all went downhill. Tom Brevoort was spectacular as the continuity cop and maintaining kind of, strict adherence to character models and characterization and all that shit. But the minute he got involved in content direction is where it all fell apart, and Victoria Alonso was the same way.
We got to talk about this. Sully said, "I like all X-Men movies, including Origins, the Wolverine Origins movie that was so bad with fake Deadpool."
Other than fake Deadpool, it wasn't a terrible movie. I mean, it was still bad.
They didn't finish the effects.
I agree. I mean,
You can tell the knives were rubber.
Yeah, the whole final last fight thing was where that movie fell apart. Up until that point, it wasn't bad. But once you got to that last point with the fight in 3 Mile Island and connecting it to 3 Mile Island, I'm sitting there going, "Oh, this is fucking."
Come on, guys! X-Men Last Stand. That was terrible.
Okay,
I got kicked off. Do you guys mind if I finish my thought that I was saying right before I got kicked off?
If you can, go for it.
I was just saying that we went through so many years with just so much comic book content, like movies, TV shows, all of that stuff. So right now, I'm not at the place where I'm like, oh, I just need this stuff to be fixed right away. I need Marvel to be fixed. We have 10 more years of like Marvel content anywhere, just like it was. And I think that is a problem that both the MCU and DC is going to find, that people might be looking for other things right now. They might not be so obsessed with seeing the next superhero major interconnected franchise take off.
I'm impressed that you remembered your train of thought.
Me too.
I mean, dude, seriously, that was awesome. Like, I would have forgotten 3 seconds after getting kicked off. So,
awesome. Every day, and I always forget where I was. This is gonna be fucked up.
Wes and I'll
be right.
Wes and I will be recording, and like some dog will start barking outside, so he has to disappear. And he's like, "What the fuck are we talking about?" I'm like, "I don't know."
No idea where we finished off that bad boy.
Yeah, like Theresa was saying, I used to watch all the, most of the people. Hey, Marvel has a movie. I didn't even need to know anything about it. I was going to go see it. Now I'm starting to pick and choose, and I'm picking less and less. And I hear a lot of people saying that with the comics as well, that they're just going to follow a couple of the books, not just get excited for everything.
Absolutely. Yep. We do have some super chats. Common Sense says, talking about tech is a good reason to read Mosley. Well, Doc, you should stay away from Mosley. It sounds like you don't like technology.
I don't mind technology.
You just don't like it when it interferes with your comics?
Oh, I definitely don't like it when it interferes with my comics. I alternate between being a tech enthusiast and a complete Luddite, depending on the day.
You lost money on crypto, isn't it?
No, I've made money on crypto, so I'm good.
Oh, you were lucky enough to bounce out before it all went to hell. Caleb says, I don't think things will get better. I could be wrong, but some VFX people had said that there's no plating and Rick and Morty losers are still there.
Well, the Rick and Morty thing is correct, but Victoria Alonso was the one responsible for a lot of the VFX problems, because the problem was the
supervisor for all of it.
Yeah, because the problem was that they would give them these VFX orders without actually knowing what they wanted to do. So they'd say, okay, work on this. And so then they'd work on it. And then
they wouldn't know how they wanted the powers to work.
Couple weeks later, they'd be like, oh, actually, we don't want it like this. We want it like this. So there'd literally be last minute changes. Like, for example, there was this horror story told about WandaVision that apparently they'd gotten the VFX finished, so they thought. But then they came back like a week before the show was supposed to come out and being like, we don't like the color of the sky. We want you to change the color of the sky. And the VFX team had moved on except one guy. So it was this one guy within 6 days trying to change all the color of the sky in this very short amount of time. So I think that the VFX has been the huge problem. People have complained the VFX looks so bad. So like maybe that part will at least get better. Like I think the reason why they pushed off so many of these Disney Plus shows is at the very least they want the VFX to look better, and they're giving themselves more time for that.
I think it was MODOK. She got fired for MODOK.
Yeah.
That's fireable offense. Goblin Set says CBR made an article about Victoria Alonso calling it a toxic work environment. Surprised this shill site made that article. Chris Lee exposed her while other reporters make excuses. That's one of the things I've noticed, Theresa. It was like everyone was just trying to make excuses for her, as if she was just like this enormous saint and nothing went wrong.
Well, and that's not true. I think that the reason why they try to make her out to be a saint is like she would really virtue signal. She'd be like, she was, by the way, they were speculating this might be part of the reason why she was fired. She was one of the instigators, like Disney needs to get involved in the fight against Florida. And that has actually cost Disney a lot of money. So that might have been it. But I think that some people want to defend her because they're like, well, she fights for all of these causes, but you can go out there and, bolster yourself up to be this amazing person who's fighting for these causes. You could actually be a terrible, terrible person. So, she was very toxic. Like all of the VFX artists who have spoken out about how they've been treated have talked about how awful she is. So, I think that the tide is turning a bit though, when we've been seeing this with CBR and other sites like that are now starting to admit things like, maybe comic books aren't selling so well. Maybe Victoria Alonso isn't that great of a person, like maybe we don't have to be afraid so much anymore to call out a person for being a bad boss than we used to.
Absolutely.
She's costing them money. That's it.
Absolutely. Caleb says the way that Josh described what Doctor Strange 2 was supposed to be, I want to watch that movie now. Wanda gets real character growth in the trio versus Nightmare.
Yeah, I remember that. That sounded so much better than what we got, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Josh really messed that one up for everybody, didn't he? Not only are you disappointed, you're more disappointed because you know it could have happened. Things have gone on the way they
Did you like Scott Derrickson's original movie, guys, Wes and Theresa? What did you think of the first one?
Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I liked the first Doctor Strange.
I liked it. So they should have kept him on, and he was going for a hard R. Well, not a hard R, but he was going for a darker, maybe R-rated version of Part 2. That would have been amazing.
Other
and
than
they
the
brought Sam
ancient one
Raimi
being
in.
recast, I didn't like that much.
I can't remember what happened. Like, what was Scott Derrickson fired for? I remember I read about it, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember.
It was creative differences.
Yeah, that's Hollywood speak. We don't want to tell you what was going on.
That's he had a good idea, but we decided to corporate manage it instead of letting the creative people do creative things.
Oh, we've seen Disney do that a lot of stuff. Like, wasn't the Han Solo movie? It was supposed to be. It was those guys.
Yeah, it was
Lord Miller.
It was the people who did the Spider-Verse movie, and they were getting really creative with it, and they didn't like that.
They didn't like it, so they said, "Well, we'll just spend the same amount of money to remake it all."
You're not giving Han Solo an origin story for his name. Let's get somebody in here to do that. Nobody wanted that. Get out of here with that crap. Calvin says she was creepy around that Chavez actress. I don't know if that's true. Let's take your word for it, sir. Who knows about that one? Let's get one more article or topic in here before we finish this bad boy up. We did have the Tim Drake Robin comic book canceled along with Batgirls.
You mean the fan favorite Tim Drake Robin?
Tim,
that was selling more than Batman. What are you talking about?
Fell out of the top 200 like a rock almost immediately.
You're right.
Jim, we could see the writing on the wall with this one. There was no support for the comic book. People that liked Tim Drake hated the comic. And basically they brought in a nobody to do it, and it ended up blowing up in their faces. And worst of all, they had a terrible artist that made it read even worse than it originally was.
Yeah, it was unreadable. It really was. And I said when me and you did the video on it and even got in arguments with people in the chat there, like, it's easy enough to say it was never going to succeed because it's bisexual Tim Drake, which at a point that is true. You're going to turn off a lot of, older fans, big fans of Tim Drake. But you also had one of the worst written comics that made no sense and looked like shit. So it's going to be a tough sell, even if that book stinks, whether or not Tim Drake by whatever, straight, anything. It was not a good book. She didn't seem to get the character and didn't get the characters before that in the Dark Crisis Young Justice book. She ended up really giving a middle finger at that point to anybody who liked Young Justice back in the day. And she just turned off readers right there. I mean, it was a train wreck, and
it was terrible writing, wasn't it, Jim? As you said, and you were so fair with your review. You were so fair about that. The writing was awful. Never mind the art. Terrible. She couldn't write, and she made huge mistakes about Tim Drake's character. He never wanted to be Batman. He wanted to be Robin.
And the idea that you ended up, it lasted 10 issues. It's going to last 10 issues. You think they probably extended it a little bit because that could have been canceled at 6, 7, but at least she'll get that story done. But I don't even know. that story made no sense from the beginning.
One of the
makes
things,
sense.
one of the things that people haven't been talking about is how they tried to bury this news. I think I was the first tweet about it, and the way that I found out about it, because the solicitations came out, I didn't see Tim Drake at all in the solicitations. I didn't see him. I'm like, where is he? Did they like stealth cancel him? And then another person who works at Batman News pointed out in the DC
Previews.
Connect, if you read that, then it says it's canceled at 10 issues. And I looked and I tweeted about it, and hours and hours and hours went by, and I kept checking. Nobody was doing an article on it. Nobody was doing anything.
No.
Then later, finally, some like very small sites started putting out articles and putting a spin on it, like, oh, fan favorite Tim Drake and Batgirls has been canceled, like trying to bury it. It's like they really wanted to bury this cancellation, and it took a while for like other YouTubers to realize it.
Yeah.
I don't think that they wanted another like like bisexual Tim Drake got canceled. Of course, go woke.
No, of
go
course
broke.
not. Of course
They didn't
not.
want that. But I'm just thinking about the book. First of all, Riley Rossmo, we keep saying, he has his place somewhere. Where is his place?
Where
Because
is it? I don't know.
every
Somewhere
book that
indie, somewhere maybe.
every book that he's worked on has tanked.
It's drawing street graffiti. That
Well,
is
yeah,
his place.
I'll tell you, the place that he has.
Wait a second.
It's
It's
not
not
in-
fair to say that every book he's worked on tanked. He worked on Harley Quinn.
That
I mean,
tanked.
seriously,
Yeah,
not a
tanked.
good book. Not a
No.
good book.
Yeah.
Not a good book. Never has been a good book. I mean, seriously, let's be real.
I agree.
Harley Quinn has never been good. Okay.
I
don't
agree.
care if the Dodsons are working on it.
I agree.
don't care if you like Plumber or Connor or
Awful
whatever, her husband. I don't care. It's never been good. And also, Tim Drake Robin. No one's going to buy this, regardless of who. Name your favorite artist. You're not reading it. Period.
That's true, but I'm just thinking
Modern?
what like
Period.
He had
Your
a.
fa- you
he
will
had
not
almo-
read Tim Drake Robin,
He
no
had
matter
two-
who the artist is on it.
I'll
People
tell
bought
you
Chuck
one thing, though.
Dixon's. Chuck
Chuck
Dixon's.
Dixon, I will.
About
No,
the
I'm
book,
talking
about
Robin right
Because
now,
it lasted
right now.
almost 200 issues.
This Robin, you will not if you put Tom Grummett back on this
That'd
art,
be, yeah.
you ain't gonna be
I
reading it.
agree.
You
I
ain't
agree
gonna
with
like
you.
it.
But the book, if you read it, a lot of the things going on had to do with visual cues in the story, and they were
Yes.
completely lost. And Riley
awful.
Rossmo does have a place for his art. Anywhere my eyes aren't, that's where I want him. I mean, seriously.
I wanted to follow up what he just said about how Harley Quinn runs have never been good. That's actually what I just wrote in my.
Really?
I did my review for Teenie Howard's.
When was the
first
last good
issue.
one, Theresa?
Any good comic you will read with her is always going to be an Elseworlds, a supporting character, or a self-contained issue. The problem with DC, not really with the movies and other things have had problems recently, but the movies and video games and cartoons, usually she's a supporting character, and that's why she's worked better there. But comic books, ever since she was introduced in comics, like just not even a year after being introduced, DC has been like, she needs a solo series. She needs to be a star. When the solo series doesn't work, they're like, we're going to push her in like a D-list comic series like Secret Six, and then we're going to try another solo series. We're going to change her character just to fit her as a solo character. That has been DC's problem this entire time. They keep trying to push a square peg in a round hole, or whatever the saying is, that she just does not work well as a solo character. And she's only sold well once when they were mimicking Deadpool, and that's run its course. But I just got excited because that's what I wrote literally in my review for Teenie Howard's. I'm like, maybe you guys should consider, because it doesn't seem like Teenie Howard, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it doesn't seem like she really knows what to do. I'm like, maybe you guys should consider that maybe a solo run is not what you should be doing.
When it was Gotham City Sirens, I thought, that's pretty good. They had a good little right. They had Dini doing it, I think.
Yeah, Paul
and they
Dini's
had good
a great
art,
writer.
and I agree. When she's a side character, they put way too much focus on her. And I'm not trying to slam her or anybody that likes her stuff. It's just, it's so tired. It's Harley Quinn is like second to irritating me at DC. First is Batman.
Well,
it's like Batman and Harley Quinn.
I'm really enjoying her in the Deadly Duo, because it's like she's just a side character.
Sure.
She doesn't have to take so much of the stuff.
She's
and,
good in that.
I read the recent issue. It's not out yet, but there's just some like some dysfunctional banter between her and Joker, and they're just like taking some pot shots at each other, but they're still a team. And I'm like, yeah, I like this. And they're working together to like fight Batman. I'm like, I like this. I like that she's just like a partner to the Joker. They're just fighting Batman, and she doesn't need to be this. They don't need to make her more than she is. I'm like, that's the character I enjoy, not a character. For some reason, and this is a problem in comics, like Joker has a comic book ongoing right now. It's absolutely terrible. It is one of the worst comic book runs I've ever read. But but why does the Joker
Your
have
first
a
time
comic
with
book
Matthew
series?
Rosenberg?
It's so bad.
Congratulations.
So bad.
I'm glad you found out what we already knew.
Man.
But it's like, why does the Joker have a solo book? Well, because he's the Joker. And apparently it's like the pinnacle of a character just to have a solo book. Like the Penguin's going to have a solo book. I'm like, sometimes characters work best solo, like Batman. Sometimes they work best as supporting characters or in a self-contained story, or in a self-contained story where you don't have the pressure to keep it going.
And I'll go the opposite of that, talking of the Tim Drake book. There's always the fear that they're going to look at this and say Tim Drake isn't a viable character to have a solo book and not blame Megan Fitzmartin's, writing. And that was the main thing. Riley Rossimo, whatever. And I made a joke, but I don't mind him on variant covers, things like that, covers and things. But I'm not a big fan. But still, no artist. Yule's right. Not even just the idea that nobody would have bought that. Anybody who read that. And that's the problem. DC, you would think they had a target audience and thought that maybe that would be able to support it. But the thing is, by the end, nobody was buying it. It was so bad that even if somebody went into it, all right, this is my Tim Drake, they were not sticking with it. It was that bad. It was so bad. And that's editorial, writers, all that has to change. And it shows in something like that. And Batgirls. Batgirls gets canceled at the same time. And that was...
They care more about the covers that they put out. On those books.
Well, I'm just thinking for Tim Drake, like everything, like they say he's bisexual. They were writing him as gay, and like everything about his comic series, the way they advertise it, he's gay now. Like I think it was the last cover I saw for him was him with roses in his hands, like to bring to his boyfriend. There's a cover of him making out with his boyfriend. It's like that's what the comic is centered around, and comic book readers don't want to read that. Like
they want to read the regular.
Well, I mean, at least most superhero readers don't really like. That's not the crux of the character, Like I want to see him do some crime stuff, Well, I want him to beat up a bad guy. I want to see some action that isn't action on the cover.
This book had a lot of things going against it. First, the gay
creative team.
First the creative team, and as a consequence of that, the gay Robin, because the only reason this character was gay was because Megan Fitzmartin wanted to do weird shipping Tumblr fanfic.
It was really weird. Like she said some really weird things. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. You're right. I mean, this is her OC character shoved into a Robin skin. The other thing was the direction of the book, where they just decided to turn him into the Daredevil of a boat parking lot.
Yeah.
Instead of, I mean, that's literally like that's some D-man level shit right there.
And
you should have had a mall parking lot. They should have got
really.
Exactly,
like a recreational vehicle, parked it in there, be like, well, it's broke down. We live here now.
Yeah, that's like a half abandoned mall where there's like 9 cars that show up and they're stopping kids from doing donuts in the snow.
That's a comic shop and a
sounds
Chinese
more
grocery.
like a Tom Taylor comic. If you ask me.
It would be more entertaining. But here's the thing: yes, they are going to make the determination that Tim Drake is no longer a viable character. But to answer Yoel's question from the beginning, who would buy this comic no matter who was on it? The thing is, if it was anyone other than Megan Fitzmartin, we'd be getting an actual Tim Drake comic. No. This is not a Tim Drake comic because the Chuck Dixon Tim Drake comic lasted for almost 200 fucking issues. Yes. It got canceled at 183 and managed to stay in print for almost 20 years. No. So the character is viable and it can stand.
The thing about it too, when you have this Megan Fitzmartin, I'm sure she realizes if she's the one who ends up saying, "Okay, Tim Drake is by," it becomes her character then. And then she gets to do whatever. And you see it. She's the one who was in every little thing doing it. And it kind of sets it up as being her thing that would continue. But she's just not good enough to have it continue. And pretty much, nobody read it. But it really seemed to me was that the whole idea of now I'm the caretaker. I'm going to go forward with this. And it's a shame.
They're going to do with this character what they did with Cena Grace and Iceman. And it's canceled, but they're going to release a Tim Drake Robin subtitle mini series that's going to be like an Superman. Exact continuation of this story, but now it's in a mini series and it's going to be advertised and it's going to go through. She's going to go through the exact same progression.
Legends of the Dark Knight or Brave and the Bold, whatever that anthology book is coming out.
I'm wondering.
It'll get a mini-series. It'll get a mini-series, and then it'll end up as backup stories, and then it'll end up as one-shots, and then you'll take the character entirely off the board, because that's the progression of success in comics. You go from ongoing to mini to backups to one-shots.
Here's what I'm wondering. Here's what I'm wondering. Like, what is the threshold for cancellation at DC right now? Is it under 200? Like, you fall off the top 200? Because
it wasn't even in top 200, was it, Theresa?
It wasn't. It dropped off. But I'm thinking, like, Teenie Howard's books, for example, they do not sell.
No, they don't sell.
Catwoman and Harley Quinn, sometimes if you get a cover or if you get a crossover, you can get a little boost. So that might be it. But I'm like, so Batgirls was selling, like I think it was ranked at like 130 last time I saw it. That's been around where Catwoman and Harley Quinn have been, if not lower. So I'm like, so Batgirls gets canceled, but they're still pushing Catwoman.
I think they're done with Clunrad because they're off Wonder Woman now. Now they're off Batgirls. I don't think they're going to be working at DC anymore. Whereas you have Teenie Howard, it was at WonderCon this weekend speaking on behalf of DC Comics and trying to promote stuff.
Well, it's just odd to me because I'm like, I guess it's the getting rid of those creators, like you said. But I'm just like, Catwoman for a while. I get that they're trying Teenie Howard with Harley. Unless people really like Sweeney Boo's art, I don't see that selling. By the way, I mentioned to my mom that I'm reviewing a comic by Teenie Howard and Sweeney Boo, and she did not believe that those names are real.
Teenie and Sweeney. Now that's a team.
But anyway, I'm just like. Teenie Howard has been on Catwoman for a long time now. It does not sell, it's
awful.
It's
so
awful.
Bad.
But there's no end of it in sight, and so I'm wondering how long are you going to be doing this? Like, I don't know anyone's happy with it.
Until the character is absolutely radioactive.
And that's what I think it is with the character. And and I think that we've all said it before and we've heard it. Teenie Howard's easy to work with. So you end up putting her on these books. The character they think is more viable and you go forward with it. But there is a weird threshold. And that's the thing. People are asking in the chat and saying things about the sales for Tim Drake. It's going to be tough to find some sales because they got so bad that they just dropped off of most of the reporting. It's that bad. It's so bad.
The Flash was jumping up into the top 50 there once
they
hit 1 Minute War, and they removed him from the book.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I have talked to Jeremy Adams, and he appreciates everybody all around who have really, said that they really like the book. He even said that they kind of pulled the trigger. They ended up yanking him off the book, and then it started selling. So it's a shame that they didn't just wait it out a little bit more.
And I don't know why they would yank him out when there's books doing so much worse. Why is Matthew Rosenberg still on the Joker? The Joker, just because it's the Joker, is
why is that book even coming out? I mean, just get that whole thing done.
I'll tell you, it's selling like in the mid, like it comes up like 50 or 60 on the charts. Like it's because it's the Joker, so it's doing
what James Tynion do? It was the top 20 book the entire time.
Yeah, but I'm like, Matthew Rosenberg is like everyone hates this book, and
it's
people,
so bad.
It's so bad.
Have you read the next issue? Have you read it
Yes,
yet?
I have.
Oh my goodness! Nothing happens in that book that isn't progressive. Nothing ever happens. It's so bad.
It's like the Matthew Rosenberg's Joker is like, you're lucky if nothing happens, which is why I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. I'm like, it's just mediocre. Nothing happens.
Well, I said that first trade. The only thing that anybody will ever know or talk about is, crap baby. Joker baby, and that's a backup story that was a joke, and that's all that is memorable about that whole deal.
It's so funny. I was looking because I was the one who wrote the viral tweet about that got
Yeah,
up on
yeah.
everything. I was looking back at it because like someone liked to comment under it. And I was looking back. I'm like, wow, there were some people like freaking out about it, or other people who were like attacking me over disliking the book. Like, you're attacking trans women or trans men. I'm like, it's just a bad comic, guys.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
not trans.
that's it, exactly.
No, they want to
baby.
see. They want to see me attack trans people. That's a whole other
That's fine,
thing.
Doc. We can do it somewhere else besides here. We did get another cancellation that I guess we can get into.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel's been canceled at issue number 50, Doc.
Again?
Fan favorite writer Kelly Thompson's off the book.
Again.
Why do they
From what
always
I'm
say
told
fan
behind the
favorite?
scenes,
Yeah.
she's also just off of Marvel Comics in general because she got in a little bit of hot water.
Yeah. So congratulations, you reached the successful point of cancellation. You've hit the next achievement in Marvel Comics, and now you're fired too, I guess. So no,
Not really
like,
fired. It's just, the
just
contract
not
goes up. Renewed.
continued to be employed. Whatever. No, look, this is just so typical Marvel Comics. I mean, Theresa, your question, why do they keep calling them fan favorite? It's because no one has ever sold a Captain Marvel book. Nothing. There is
Not
no.
even Chris Claremont.
They can come up with fan favorite.
The closest thing to successful Carol Danvers comic was Brian Reed's book in like the mid 2000s. That's the closest thing to a successful Carol book that's ever existed.
I'd say that when DeConnick first started up, it was pretty super hot. It had good numbers.
It was hot for a very short period of time.
I want to bring this up.
Yeah.
Because at that time was when I was getting into superhero stuff because of the movies, and they were pushing Carol Danvers back then because they had intentions of eventually doing a movie. So I checked out her comics. They were actually some of the first Marvel comics I checked out. And I remember, like, I bought.
You don't read Marvel anymore, right?
No. I think it was Kelly Sue DeConnick on her Higher, Further, Faster run. And I read it, and I'm like, there's just nothing really here. That was back when they were trying to do a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe with her. Like, people might not even remember that, but I was like, I'm not hating this comic, but there's really nothing that I'm like relating to for this character. The story isn't very interesting. It's like the problem with Carol Danvers is that originally I don't think she was a bad character. She just didn't have anything really interesting about her. She was just,
she's
average,
very much of a
mediocre,
blank slate.
Forgettable. And
Let me introduce you to Avengers 200.
She's an empty costume, is the problem. That's what it really comes down to with Carol. She's an empty costume that needs to steal things from more successful characters because she has no unique personality that is unto herself, and no one's ever found a voice for her. Even Chris Claremont didn't find a voice for her.
I'm wondering, though, because this kind of ties into two topics today, that the Marvels, that movie apparently is having like so much trouble behind the scenes, and it's coming up terribly in test screenings, and they have to keep delaying it. I'm wondering, now that the movies are kind of dwindling out, like the reason that they were pushing Carol Danvers in the first place was because they want to promote her in the movies, and that hasn't really worked. Captain Marvel might be the most hated character from the movies, and they know that. So I'm wondering, like, as the movie landscape changes, how does that affect comics? Are we going to still see Captain Marvel pushed? Because I think that once the Marvels comes out, and it is going to bomb, I guarantee that, I think that they're going to be done with that character and anything associated with it. So I'm wondering, are they still going to be pushing her in comics?
I think so. I think they consider her their Wonder Woman now. They have to.
It's in their name. I kind of feel like, we're Marvel. We've got Captain Marvel. And
nobody has ever liked, like, this is like, is that their 13th run that has gotten canceled?
I always
some of those were
miniseries.
I might have overstated a little bit.
But no, this is
really?
This is Carol's 13th. This is Carol's 13th series. It's the 11th Captain Marvel series with Carol starring.
Yeah.
But it's her 13th. She had two
I thought
failed Miss
Captain
Marvel.
Marvel was Shazam.
No.
Back in the day, yeah.
Back in the day, yes.
Well,
Marvel,
no, and then you
I
had
wish
Captain
still was.
Marvel.
and then Marvel.
Yeah.
But
and
no.
Monica
This is,
Rambeau was the lead.
Carol
Yeah,
Danvers used to be a
he's got
good character.
these
Yeah,
things.
Carol
Janice-
Danvers was a good character
look,
in the past.
I'll put it this way. I'm pretty sure Janice Vell's Captain Marvel lasted longer than every single one of Carol's Captain Marvel iterations. And Janice Vell's generally considered kind of mediocre.
How dare you? Wait,
not
you're
saying-
talking about the Peter David ones, right?
Yeah, the Peter David
How
one.
dare you.
Oh, I love
I'm
those.
not- no, I'm not saying-
Chris Cross on art.
I'm not
Just call
saying it was a
it David
bad
Mann
book.
stuff.
It was received very mediocre.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I've read every issue of this Captain Marvel run, and I'll agree with Teresa that by the end,
Congratulations.
yeah, I know, really, I get the no prize. I end up where at the end, it just felt empty. While I was reading it and going through, it just felt like it didn't really matter. They could, Kelly Thompson can push it. This is the big thing. Oh my God, this changes everything. Never felt like it mattered. You had too many of these down issues where it was girls' night out. Let's go with these stupid running jokes that became unbearable. And yeah, so you get 50 issues, but really by the end, I don't think anybody's going to ever talk about anything that happened in it. Not at all.
Respect to Jim for giving it a chance, being
Well, man,
fair.
I
A
was
chance.
reviewing it.
46 issues by now. That's more than a chance. That's
Actually,
that's
that's
mental illness,
insanity, Jim, what we're talking
I
about.
read all
What
of
are you
them.
doing?
I read them all.
Like sticking needles in your
I
eye.
dipped,
Eventually you
guys.
have
I
to learn
dipped
to
in and out
stop.
of it every now and then. I popped in and out of it just to see because I heard like it's absolutely awful, and it wasn't even that bad. But there was nothing to it. There was nothing to pull me in to get me invested in the characters. That's what I think the problem was.
Especially at $3.99 when you're like, man, I paid $4 for this, and it's like nothing
When
happened.
the cat's the most interesting thing about the comic, there's an issue.
Well, I feel like, and this might not be Captain Marvel or even Kelly Thompson. It's the style of writing, created pretty much by Bendis, and they're filling trades, and they do it by having long periods of
I love that. They're like,
hanging
she
out
had
at the dinner table.
groundbreaking story arcs, re-entry in the last Avengers.
That's what
Like,
yeah.
who's ever talked about any of that stuff? I have a comic book channel,
Nobody.
and there are people that will come on here and yell at me for not being kind to the comic book that they like. Maybe if I say something, or if I don't mention something that's been good. No one mentions this book and says you need to talk about it, good or bad. They don't want to hear about it at all.
I did like
You're
her
talking
Black
about
Widow
Jim.
a little more. Yeah, I'm yelling at you. I like Black Widow enough, but that was a lot of the art as well.
that was
even
all right.
felt
That was
empty
all
by
right.
the
Good
end.
art.
Yeah.
Well,
It
Miss
started
Rose's
well,
X
Jim.
was fine.
By the way,
Probably
I
the best
did
book at that time.
I did look it up. Janice Vell only had 35 issues and then 25 issues. So this is technically longer than either of the Peter David runs, but it is still the second. Janice Vell is the second and third longest Captain Marvel runs.
Yeah, but this was also kept on out of spite. I think
Yeah.
they didn't want to have
I
to
think
admit
so.
they had to reboot it again. So even though it wasn't selling, they just kept on going. They're like, well, if we get to 50 issues, the Marvels is coming out and we're going to reboot it anyway. So why
Yeah, I think
reboot
that-
it twice in the
Was it
meantime?
selling you? Was it selling in your store at all?
Recently? No.
Yeah.
Any of the Kelly Thompson run, if it wasn't like the first issue, I don't think. I mean, that was pre-pandemic. So I would say, it had a bit of a problem. One of the stories was going on during the pandemic, and there was a lot less people purchasing it, but it was never really a great seller after the Taconic years for me. It dwindled each iteration. Yeah, but like the Taconic years, I had ladies working in the store that were part of the Carol Corps, and let me tell you, we were selling a crazy ton of Captain Marvel. Like,
You mean that ladies that work in a comic shop with a bunch of lonely guys can push product on them and they'll buy it?
Oh, shocking.
Kelly Sue was selling.
We had a lot more women at that time coming in and purchasing Captain Marvel. Like I said, the Carol Corps was heavy out in Berkeley.
It was.
There's not as much a Carol Corps now in Berkeley. What I think is like noobs coming in, being excited. Oh, I've always liked comics, and then they come in, and this is my character, and it's written for me, You know, these are not indicative of what superhero comics are. And
how long do they last? Like 3 issues, 4 issues?
Well, and that was another thing. You know, I had a lot of people that were new to reading comics when Ms. Marvel came out. And then Marvel did a Marvel thing and introduced some stupid event. And these people weren't ready for that. They're new to you.
Civil War
you
2.
don't scare them away, you know?
Yes.
But Kelly
and they
Thompson
do that all the time. Captain Marvel should have never had a tie-in with anything. No secret, none of that stuff. Okay, no Secret Invasion or whatever the hell it's called. Civil War. Ms. Marvel should have never, ever had a tie-in with another storyline. You do that the same thing with Moon Girl, Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl even had a freaking Secret Wars tie-in or something like that. You don't restart them. You don't scare people away. These are the only things they're buying probably at your store, and you just want to keep that thing coming out so that you can start building a bigger audience. But you do a brand new #1, you do a big old event, and they're like, I'm gone. I don't know what this stuff is, and I don't care. And that's what happened.
It's getting awful expensive.
It's getting awful. We're ready for that. We can handle that. We know Terror Planet or whatever's coming. Night Terrors is coming out through DC. We know what to expect. You know,
is she going to do some more Bitch Planet anytime soon?
Actually, Bitch Planet is coming out soon.
Doc, no.
Yes. So you were correct, Doc.
Doc, you'll have a reason to go back to the comic shop.
Yeah. I have a reason to set the comic shop on fire.
We do have some super chats. Let's see it for the peoples. Goblin says Megan Fitzmartin's Tim Drake is equally bad as Mindy Kaling's Velma show. Convoluted shipping. The only difference is Velma got better art than Tim Drake.
Nice.
Pretty well said.
Yeah.
Can't really disagree with anything.
Yeah, but she's going to get a Nobel Peace Prize for that show, isn't she? Is that right?
I don't know. Apparently, she met the president, right?
She got some sort of fucking medal from
Insane.
the president.
Freedom.
Good.
Clown world.
Good for her.
Yeah. He also said Fitzmartin and Kaling don't understand Tim Drake and Velma. They just want to insert their fan fiction to these characters. Just create original IPs.
Yeah.
Then those won't sell. They can't do that
sell.
because, look, their ego won't allow it to not sell. Their ego, however, will blame everyone
Reeves
else.
made Berserker. It sold.
Keanu Reeves is a likable person, but all of these people are terrible human beings.
I like Mindy Kaling in The Office. I thought she was pretty funny. It's Kelly Kapoor.
Every other thing that I've ever seen, everything I've ever seen her in. No, I don't like The Office, to be perfectly honest. Let's
Good
go
for
with
you,
that.
Doc. Screw The Office. British one too.
Oh.
I don't like The Office, so we'll
I don't like feeling that uncomfortable.
British one, you? Shots fired at Wacky's Ash here. What's going on, man?
Sorry,
But-
man. You know, Ricky Gervais can suck an egg.
But everything Mindy Kaling's done has been off-putting, and
Wasn't she a writer on The Daily Show?
Yeah, well, you off-putting. No, look, she's very, very grating in every interview I've seen her. Her way she promotes everything, it's really obnoxious. And so it's white guilt marketing.
Doc,
But so
you just called someone obnoxious.
yes, I did.
I own the kettle back.
I know, right? But
Well,
no,
you gotta know.
so
You know,
the same with Megan Fitzmartin, just annoying people. And what you have is their egos won't allow them to fail if they have to actually sell a product on their own merit of the product and it being good and appealing to people. Instead, they have to take something that's already popular, rip it apart, wear it as a skin suit, ride that coattails into the ground, and then blame all the people that used to like it for not liking their zombie fucking, Buffalo Bill version of whatever creative thing it is. So
Hey, we got you. Goblin says, I'm waiting for Perch to do sales analysis for all Tim Drake series, including Red Robin and Tim Drake Pride. Perch, if you're watching, remember. We shall see what happens. I don't think Tim Drake Robin will stand up to the scrutiny. of that kind of
No.
analysis. Might be seen as lacking in comparison.
Wes,
Terrence
did you
Bernard.
did you see? Sorry to interrupt. Did you see the your boy Zach's analysis of the price of comics with the $4.99 Superman, 22 pages of actual story? That was really interesting video. It surprised
Superman
me.
Lost?
No,
Yeah.
the
I didn't see that video yet.
Joshua
but I almost did the
Williamson
video myself.
No.
issue
Just
2.
Oh, he's talking about the Joshua Williamson book.
Yeah.
I thought the Superman Lost book was a bigger ripoff for $4 or for $5. I think it was 20 pages.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Nice art though.
Terrence Bernard, wish Rainbow Connection realized Big Two was using them for fodder and don't support them. If they did, they'd vet the writers for quality content.
No.
Not much new there.
I don't know what to say about that.
I saw a tweet from Wednesday's poll list, and he talked about a new name for Tim Drake. Wes, I know you disagree about Red Robin, but what name would you give him? I wouldn't call him Drake.
Drake, yeah. A lot of people even forget about that, thank God. Right?
Really.
I think he should go back to the Red Robin costume.
How about Red Wing?
Yeah.
Well, wasn't
Then
there-
he's just Falcon's sidekick.
Oh, that's what it is. Falcon, yeah.
How about Red
I was
5?
like, isn't that a motorcycle or something?
It's a pair of boots and it's a hockey team.
Oh, a hockey team. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A company.
I don't know. Is there a good name for Tim Drake? I mean, you've got Nightwing, you got Red Hood, you got
We need
Robin,
to start killing
Batman.
some of these fools off, is what we need to do.
We got
Sorry, Tim.
Flamebird.
Batwing, you got the Signal. How about the Chicken Hawk? That'd be a pretty good name.
That was a series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From
Go
Image?
around with a
No, I'm
squeaky voice.
joking.
Yeah, I say call him the Chicken Hawk. That gives you an idea that he's small but feisty. You know what I mean?
Somebody said the Red Swallow.
Yeah. That's,
Oh God! All right, rate that 7. I hated that they reconnect Carol's backstop and made her mother a Kree warrior.
Yeah.
They're always
Backstory.
red-coated crap.
Yeah.
My goodness. I do want to say thank you very much to everyone for supporting the channel. We've had a lot of fun here today. Got through most everything that we were supposed to. But now it's time for the best part of the show, where we talk about our comic book recommendations and what people should be buying this week. You're a comic book shop owner in Berkeley, California. If you need some comics, go buy Fantastic Comics in Berkeley. If you need them, maybe shipped to you, you got to DM him. He doesn't have an e-commerce website, but he does do business mano a mano through his DMs on Twitter. What comic books are you recommending this week?
Yeah, if you want to contact me, it's just at Fantastic Comics on the socials. I've been reading Amazing Spider-Man still. Looking forward to finding out what finally happened. It was an okay issue. It really was.
It's only been a year and a half.
Yeah, I know. But I'm reading that. I also enjoyed Superman. That one was good. Spy Superb ended. That's a Matt Kent written and drawn expensive comic that's really
That one's
thick.
expensive, but it's worth it because it's the page count.
Exactly.
And it's experimental.
Oh, I love the little backup stories of the characters that he's introducing us to. And I just love his whole spy shtick thing that he has going on. One of my favorite Matt Kent books is The Black Badge, which is about like a troop, a
Boy
scout
Scouts.
troop. Yeah. And they're just the best at everything. They're not the best at everything. They just have really great guys that are good at everything.
Was that good, Yule? Yeah, is it worth
yeah.
reading?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
highly recommend Matt Kent. He's probably one of my. If you're looking for something that isn't mainstream and someone that's just doing his own thing, and like you said, Wes, he's experimental in the way he lays out pages. He does stuff on Kickstarter. He even has a game called Mind Management based off his comic book. And it supposedly has like really crazy stuff and stories that, you don't get in your normal stuff. So be a Matt Kent fan. That's my recommendation.
Absolutely. That's the way to do it. Matt Kent is amazing. I had him on the channel for an interview. If you look that bad boy up, you'll be seeing somebody that likes comic books. It's very creative. Who else we got? We got Therese from Jester Bell. Did you read any comic books that you liked this week?
Actually,
quick?
there's not Teeny Howard's. I'm giving
recommending
it a
it?
5 right now. There are some
Oh.
things I don't know if I don't want to spoil it, but there are some things that feel like they're trying to listen to people's criticisms and that they're trying. Like one of the big things people have said is we hate it that Harley pretends that all of her past misdeeds are just blamed on the Joker. And there's a specific line in the comic, like she needs to take responsibility for the things she's done. She's back more to being more of a criminal in this comic. Like they're done with the Bat Family direction, the superhero part of the Bat Family. They're done with that. Still not a great book though. Like it like I said,
Gabe
a
gave
little
it
earlier.
an 8.5. I heard.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Don't
a
even
bit
get me started.
Exactly.
like he like I just feel like we don't really, especially reading the solicitations, I feel like there's not really much of a direction going forward. Like she doesn't really know what to do. So I gave it a 5 out of 10. Did Gabe really give it an 8.5?
Absolutely no idea. I haven't
okay.
seen his review,
I'm like-
obviously.
Yeah, that was
I'm just
a
making fun of
Spider-Man
Gabe's
21.
bad taste.
Yeah, Gabe will
Because-
probably. Who knows? Who knows?
But anyway, it's really mediocre, and I think it's probably going to get worse. The artwork, I actually like the artwork. Other people don't, but like I say, they need, like there's some improvements. There are some improvements, but I don't think that a solo series is really the way to fix the character right now. The comic that I would only recommend is like in 2 weeks, like the Batman Joker Deadly Duo, only comic that I would absolutely recommend spending money on. The Joker comic, nope. Poison Ivy, it's getting a little bit better. Like I don't think it's going to be for everybody though. But just like there's just so few comics that I would actually recommend to people these days.
There you go. Godwood Sense says Inferno Girl read number 3. I'm disappointed about the versus debate with Comic America. Wish Drew was here. He's been throwing shade at Inferno Girl Red. I'm not reading Inferno Girl Red number 3. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to go along with it, but I don't think anybody on the panel was reading Inferno Girl.
It's tough because, personally, I don't read too many superhero books if they don't have even a hint of a possibility of interacting with Spider-Man or Superman. So even though the Massive Verse is interesting, I'm going to have to take some time. Pardon me?
You're not reading Rogue Sun?
Nah.
Man,
I'm sorry.
it's a very good book.
Yeah.
You're
I'm sure it
missing out on
is.
Ryan Parrott on Naval on Art. You are absolutely insane, sir. Federico De La Casa from Europe says, "Hi guys, I just read number 1, Order and Outrage by Jim Starlin and Rags Morales. I'm waiting till Marvel and DC are purged by these toxic writers to get back." A lot of people are waiting, brother.
Gonna
You're
be
not
waiting
the
a
only one.
long time, man.
Order and Outrage was pretty good. It just made me wish that, he was working at a Marvel or DC.
Well, I'm glad you found a comic book you like. Thank you for the recommendation. Gray, what are you recommending this week? Anything?
It's been a good week for me, Wes. I really enjoyed Mark Millar's Magic Order, which no one's reading by the sound of it. Volume 4, Issue 3. But the one that got me was the Swamp Thing Green Hell by Jeff Lemire, Issue 3, the last one dropped. I just love seeing old man John Constantine with his, his Liverpool accent. It's great to see him. He's fantastic. I'm a really bad piece of work. Everyone knows that.
My problem with that book was it debuted over a year ago, and then it never came back.
The first issue, we had to wait a year for 2 and 3, and they came out within 2 months of each other. That's crazy, right?
Absolutely. But I agree with you. There's some good books this week.
Doug Mancon art, fantastic. Great art.
Very good. Common Set says Flavor Girls hardcover, better heroes than the Carol Corps.
Flavor Girls is excellent. If you like a manga style artwork, and it's kind of like,
Is it like the
Sailor
Spice
Moon
Girls
style.
where every girl has a flavor? Like you've got a melon flavor girl, and then strawberry flavor girl,
Pineapple,
and
yeah,
root
that
beer.
kind of stuff. Yeah, root beer.
Nice.
It's good. It's an excellent. I think anybody can read it. It's a good all ages comic book.
Sounds
you
like
can
it's
read
for
it with your
girls.
kids.
I don't think
It
Doc can read
is, I think, for the most part, but it has that really cool heroic stuff going on it that I think really anybody could read.
Like the Powerpuff Girls, but better.
Yeah, just more adult, but not so adult to, like I said, anybody couldn't read it.
Is it the Fanta girls from the Fanta commercial just kind of dancing. And
No, it's nothing like. No, dude, it's
Damn.
freaking action packed. I mean, it's,
they were all different flavors.
I'm just
Theresa,
saying,
would
man,
you
like,
read
this
Flavor
is a
Girls? It
good
sounds like it's
comic
good.
book.
I've
Yeah.
never heard of it before.
Yeah.
me look it
I
up.
liked it a lot. It was
I don't know it.
3
Don't know
issues that were $7.99 also, but it was like really thick. And yeah, I got both the comic books and I also got the hardcover so that I could like push it on people.
There you go. Be checking out Flavor Girls.
Flavor Girls.
Jim, you survived another show. It sounds like we might not see you next week, but hey, best of luck, sir. I hope you make it through the week. Got any comic books people should be reading?
Yeah, I just guzzled some NyQuil, so these might be wacky, but they're not wacky. Actually, I would say Superman and Batman, Superman, World's Finest. Those are pretty solid. Don't get Catwoman. Don't. It's terrible. But those will be my 2 picks.
What did you think about the Women of Marvel? Was it good?
No.
10 out of 10. 11 out of 10. Best comic ever written.
No, it was boring. That's what
There wasn't one good story in that.
No.
Really? No, not
No.
you, Doc. That,
Really?
Oh, wait, you didn't read it. That's right.
I
forgot.
read
Is that
it.
bad?
There is not a good story. in it.
Not one.
And even the story that's like the through line of all the individual stories was bad.
Wow. Yeah,
Like it
I
was
mean,
especially bad.
But that's on the Doc scale. Let's say you weren't
No.
Doc. How bad is it?
It's still really bad.
Speaking of
If you
that,
weren't
I
a
will.
raging asshole. Would you like
I'm going to throw in Doctor Strange too, just to get a Marvel one out there. That was pretty good.
I'll agree. Doctor Strange wasn't bad at all.
No, it
In
wasn't.
fact, I'll be doing my best
Really?
for the week, and we definitely have more comic books than we did last week. There's some good stuff out
That's
this
good.
week. Doc, you've given up on comic books. You're not even reading your favorite writer-artist Mark Silvestri's Batman series, which I think is absolute insanity. You're not going to be reading Clobber in Time, even though that book was essentially made for you.
Nope.
What the hell are you reading?
I'm still reading old comics. So let's go here. We're going to go with Uncanny X-Force, the Rick Remender book. This is the
Fantastic.
Liefeld variant.
Oh, can you
Which-
bring that up close?
That thing is like
Look at that.
every issue is perfect.
Oh my.
So you see
Liefeld.
Doc's face.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it ruins it. All right. And then what do we got here? Oh,
Ooh.
Wildcats Nemesis. This is a
What do you
really
think about
good.
the DC Wildcats? Someone asked earlier,
No.
Doc.
No,
There you
it's
go.
not. It's not the Wildcats.
It's
But
not.
now, as much as I hated Robbie Morrison on The Authority, and I felt that seeing the names for Authority Volume 2 of Morrison, Turner in like the early 2000s, and going Grant Morrison and Michael Turner on the Authority. No, it was Robbie Morrison and Dwayne Turner. We
Dwayne
all got
Turner's
hood-
good.
we all got fucking hoodwinked.
Was
But
Robbie Morrison and Nuns on the Run?
I don't know. Wrong Robbie Morrison, not the
Yes.
British pop star. From like the late 90s and early 2000s. No, not that guy. But no, this
Robbie
was
Williams.
Oh yeah, it was Robbie Williams.
That I'm wrong.
Maybe. I don't remember.
I want to see
Um,
Doc's beard. Come on, Doc, show your beard.
No.
Yes.
And no, this was actually a really good series, and Talent Caldwell's art was fucking dope. Still one of my
Oh, yeah.
favorite artists. So disappointed that he's really kind of not in the comics industry anymore. Then we've got, let's see. Oh, this is like a bonus, like my reader copy of Uncanny 106.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's not bad. It's
That
just a
cover.
reader copy. I don't remember. This was I think this is right around the time that the Alpha Flight first showed up. And then X-Men number 8. Yeah, 8. First appearance of Eunice the Untouchable Man.
No,
That's
way.
your reader copy?
Yes, this is actually my regular copy.
Oh,
This is like my good copy.
no slabbing it.
Nope, this one is not slabbed.
That's a weird cover, Doc, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's like Eunice just kind of standing there and none of the X-Men being able to get near him. So,
Quite fantastic.
Cool. Doc.
yeah.
I remember when the Hulk messed him up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I do want to say thank you to everybody for showing up, and I think we had a good time. I do apologize. It was not on my A game, but I cannot hear this week. It's been very difficult actually to do recordings and stuff. But I think we made it through okay, and had lots of people in here. We almost got up to like 400 viewers at one time and had lots of fun. We will be back next week right here on Thinking Critical for the Comics Aficionados. Tonight I will have my best of the week, and then Doc is hotter than hell tomorrow as we talk about that $9 comic book in depth. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next week.
Yes.